Something is off. Things are getting stranger by the day. Just a coincidence, or is something more sinister happening right under our noses?
We want to warn you now, this next story is disturbing.
Namely, in earlier times, it was easier to control 1 million people, literally, than physically to kill 1 million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people. It is easier to kill than to control.
I would like to reduce the number of people on the planet because there's too many of us. It's a planet of finite resources, and we're using them up.
First, we've got population. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The true ruling elite are a death cult. Pure evil. The elite are extremely wealthy. They have more money than you can think of. So why would they want even more money, even more control? It's because they use their wealth and power to execute their agenda, to live out their evil. If you think this is just conspiracy theory, think again. Look around you. Everything benefits them and not humanity. The globalists have a religion. To the public, it's sold as climate change or the global crisis. What is the basis of the climate change agenda? It's population control. It's depopulation. The elite look at us as parasites that need to be controlled and killed. There is an unelected network that controls.
Welcome to the Cherise the Realist Show.
I'm sure a lot of people are not going to agree with this, but
not a question of if, but when there's going to be a chemical or biological attack on the American people. And what is their solution? They say, give up our rights, submit to Big Brother.
Don't get the vaccine, you can't go to the supermarket. Don't have the vaccine, you don't show it, you can't go to the ball game. Don't have the vaccine, can't go to work. Don't have the vaccine, can't come here. No shirt, no shoes, no service.
Who they think they better than? Ain't no comparison to the so-called black or African American. You can drop the African, keep the American. When we say Aborigine, it make they world in. I'm going in the same dirt my ancestors buried in. I come from a god and a goddess, so what that make me? Not even Basquiat can trace me. Not even Van Gogh can paint me. The MC in me is the God MC, equals the God in me. I'm focused in, let my mind be free. You too blind to see. The Jews I give is real, it's been real. These ain't shots, they missiles. All you gonna hear is the whistle. Lyrically, this an execution. My verses start revolutions from my people seeking restitution. Since the beginning, fuck evolution. Or maybe my reality is all a dream. I put it together like I was sewing seams. So it seems this is that audio dopamine. Go against the regime, we put you where nobody can hear you scream. And send you to meet your Elohim. My nigga, this is savage mode. It's something that you can't decode. It started with a spark and I'ma let it explode. I was given the cheat codes that'll let me dump and reload and go through them waves like a fucking torpedo. You dealt the cards of life, I just cut them diamonds with the ace of spades. Y'all scatter like roaches when they facing raid, or vampires when they facing blade. I'm trying to get next to Shireen like I'm getting played. You still stuck as a mental slave. You still stuck in that mental cage. While I'm making easy money, pipping hoes in style. This my coming to age. Crowd roaring when I'm coming on stage. And when I'm done, they gonna be cheering my name. Drake Cobbs, and nah, I ain't quit my day job. I spit bars. I really rap on my day off. That's real shit. Just give you some tools you can build with. Aim high even if you still miss. Just keep going. It's a climb to the top. And I'ma keep flowing. Down Lake Shore, I'm Chicagoan. Yeah. You niggas is playing checkers, we playing chess. And nigga, this is checkmate. Dre be the big dog and you just a little bait. You out of Africa and we ain't got the same traits. I'm a God being and we ain't got the same fate. My granny died February 18th and I was born on the same date. The chosen one, the ancestors' chosen son. They gave me the golden gun. One shot, that's a hole in one. From the pyramid of the sun to Poverty Point. I don't think you niggas is getting the point. We still here. Who said they made the Aboriginals disappear? Your information's lagging in the rear. All you do is teach fear. We copper-colored with woolly hair. Am I speaking clear? So fuck the nonsense. When I rap, I touch your consciousness. From within is where you get your self-confidence. Let's bring it back to dominance. Ain't no confining us. Gonna bring that wild Indian out of us. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. We still here.
And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feel it when you feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh
just that job theft, that chow mein, that pepper bull, that towel main since sunset in the arc of Wayne. My brain moving like Tao saying, so ass above, it's so below. That up and that down thing, this flow is atmospheric. I call that a ground game. See, water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning. So how your God make a sun without vortexing and current? See, the pattern is panic, I'm reaching out for my people. Oh, watch me flow through your speakers, you feel the force of the equals. And when the force gets the equal, I'm taking off like an eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing political. My DNA is Moshe. Mix that thing with higher water. My spirit rate is OTN. It's just a higher order. Got more light than Kavita. Rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint. Shout out my big homie Sela. Got more torque than a sports car. Got more work than a door star. In the 4 million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Umar, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahu when it's now a Angui. Blame my inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God's, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oh, watch me flow, it's so potent. Set the vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you make it Salah. Well, I'm an Israelite, I'ma make him at the Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith is so yeah. Yeah. Put that super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah.
Your eyes, I love your smile.
Let the melanin show. Such a beautiful glow. I wanna put my Drake 3000 in your love below. I usually switch them up every season or so. Pretty brown round. I like it when you come around. You know how I get down. We can skip town, take you to exotic beaches. Let the sun hit you and look at your exotic features. My Empress love thing, we go together like yin and yang. Ride or die, we got our own gang. Me and you loving this shit. She knows she my number one pick. She ride stick and don't need a learner's permit. We in our zone when the runs get lit. Cause I know you feeling me. You like how my spirit's free and how we build with the same energy. Drake Cobbs and you know I keep it low key. One hit of this pipes and turn into a dope fiend. It's 10 toes down and you around. You know how we get down. Yeah.
Your eyes, I love your smile. Can't disguise.
Be my Mississippi and just flow with me. I give you parts you can only see. I wish the younger me was in tune with the older me. We'll be right where we supposed to be. I just want to embrace you. Whole world trying to trace you. American goddess, your image all over the planet. The definition of organic. Your body is a work of art like Chichen Itza. It's copper color, it's nice to meet you. She says she Cherokee, wear a feather in her hair. And I'm right there, it's quite clear. Me and you together with Spark Fest. It's you and ITY in the universe intertwined. Causing eclipse like when the sun and the moon align. Now that's power divine that can light up the whole skyline. And touch your kiss, it gets me every time. Empress, you stay on my mind. You know you one of a kind because when I shine, you shine. It's nothing like the American Indian Empress. You one of a kind.
Your smile can't disguise.
Shout out to the Mama Chief. Yeah, you be quiet when Big Mama speak. What she gave us is a part of me. It flows through my arteries. Even on that journey, that love grows how the garden be. The first to teach us when we sick, the first to heal us. Mama's boy, yeah, you know, her pride and joy. Soul food, yeah, you know, I'm an enjoy. Calm you down just by the sound of her voice. There isn't another feeling inside when they cheering you on at your game and you feeling the pride. You and your siblings fighting, she gon' make you put them feelings aside. She can't lead you down the road, but she can give you the guide. Where you think I get that blissful look in my eyes? I need a side of ice cream with Bimars apple pie. You know for sure for Mama Chief, you know I'ma ride. Cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. The greatness, the patience, the foundation, the knowledge passed down so many generations, our motivation. I just wanna thank you for my creation. Cause we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. The dedication, I seen your tears at my graduation. Now look, Ma, your boy that made it. You the reason I'm one of the greatest. Yeah, cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our mama chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. Now be quiet, let Big Mama speak.
Yeah. Wild Indian, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, V, line them up.
I'm a wild Indian, you know I go crazy. Ain't really Indian, that boy you gazy. I just keep a player, you can never play me. You got an ass so fat, now let's make a baby. And another one. Then I'm back to the trap, I'm trying to double song. She a bad woke chick, and I love her tongue. We some jurisdiction boys, we some one-on-ones. Look, don't compare me to no Martin dog, I'm like Malcolm X. Die by our freedom, we'll leave a crack stretch. Round up applause, boy, you know we got the text. Chuck the dog down, play, yeah, nigga, that's what's next. Open up the cans, just like Arizona. Pull up mad stuff, like we got the Roma. We set up jurisdictions when we buy the corner. How you claiming that's your hood if you not the owner? Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a corn, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep an Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.
Like my niggas said, bitch, we the chiefs. I can't keep the peace. If you pop off, then I want a piece. I'm just on release. I'm in go mode, motherfucker peace. In these streets like EBT, when we at war, make peace with me. I don't give a damn, understand. Fuck who stole this land, white or black or tan. Understand, it's fuck who stole this land. Might have seen me get a little buddy these hands. He wasn't no apple man. A lot of these dudes is Sambo man. They full of shit like my ammo can. What they call it, N-word, I can wrong my best an ambulance. Wild Indian, get it in advance, or you can post date it. Ask around, I'm the most hated. Straight sacred, they stole acreage. Go ape shit, show weight shit. That won't be televised, I'm taking shit.
It's big, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a corn, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep an Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.
Wild Indians like say what? I hit them low, original flow. You can't lay low and get the rap for show. Coming around here, trying to tell us who we is. If these niggas don't know who the fuck they is, let's go talk about chained up bros, who's can't even stay slow. The league, where they all get choked out, slumped. I've known them boys with the truth, so the kid 4 feet, don't must eat. Tear them out the front, and get down, we bang, on their brain. Got me slumped up in the panels, so we don't stand on panels. We're all in the shambles, and they got the handles. Sitting at the back door for hours, talking about let me in. No, we ain't trans. It's all about the Aboriginals, wild Indians. It's all about the Aboriginals, the wild Indians. You say when I see a man, love for the natives when I see a man. Give a pan when I see a man, love for the natives when I see a man. That's what's up, a pan when I see a man. Love for the natives when I see a man. Give a pan when I see a man, love for the natives when I see a man. Give a pan when I see a man, love for the natives when I see a man. When I see a pan, when I see a pan, love for the natives when I see a man. Give a pan when I see a man, love for the natives when I see a man. Give a pan when I see a man, love for shit when I see a man.
hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. No, always go, keep it 1,000. Slow mo, say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. No, always go, keep it 1,000. Slow mo,
Peace and love. I'm coming, y'all. I'm coming. Peace and love.
Shake baby, shake it, mama, shake it, baby, shake it, mama, shake it, baby, shake it, girl, like that girl, sure you wanna be my girl. And every time it's alright, sure you wanna be my girl. Shake it, girl, like that girl, sure you wanna be my girl. And every time it's alright. Shake it out, shake it out. Yeah. Hey, hey, hey. Shake it out, shake it out. I like girls with the big old hips. I like them girls with the big old hips. I like them girls with the big old hips. I like them girls with the big old hips. Yeah, shorty doing the thing, shorty all of my ways. I like them girls with the big old hips. I like them girls with the big old hips. Shorty doing the thing, shorty all of my ways. Yeah, shorty giving the tea, shorty all of my weed. I like them girls with the big old hips. This girl with the bag of the shorty giving the tea, shake it out, shake it out. Southwest, Sonny, Sonny, Southside, shake it out. Call it, I know a girl named Rhonda. Lisa, yeah. No girl named Peter around the world. No girl named Sonia around the world. No girl named Kizzy around the world. No girl named Kitty around the world. No girl named Kiki around the world. No girl named Sugar around the world. Girl named Michelle around the world. No girl named Rita around the world. No girl named Mona around the world. Petty girl around the world. No girl named Whitney around the world. No girl named Shorty around the world. No girl named Christine around the world. No girl named Abby around the world. Honey around the world. Yeah, around the world. Shake it, baby, shake it, baby, shake it, oh, shake it, baby, shake it, baby, oh, shake it, y'all ready? Shake it, baby, 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 oh, shake it, y'all ready? Yeah, let's do it, come on. Shake it, baby, shake it, baby, shake it, baby, shake it, baby, shake it, oh, shake it. I love you. Kids, girl, Jamaican girl, Yankee girl, high girl, sure you wanna be my girl. Yeah, never thought it's already. Sure you wanna be my girl.
details, my pastor. Sure you wanna be my girl. They never started to see it's alright. I wanna check it out. Check it out. Yeah. Hey. What? Check it out.
Your girl named Kim.
Your girl named Piggy. Your girl named Sugar. Wanna shake it. Your girl named Whitney. Your girl named Michelle. Your girl named Sophie. Your girl named Sophie. Your girl named Nikki. Your girl named Vicky. Your girl named Tina. Your girl named Bella. Your girl named Shelby. Your girl named Miller.
Shake it, baby, shake it, baby, shake it, baby, shake it, baby, shake it. Oh, shake it. Already, come on, let's do it. Shake it, baby, shake it, baby, shake it, baby, shake it, shake it, baby. Shake it out.
Yeah. Hey, come on.
Hey. Peace and love. Hey. Psych. Hey, y'all. Peace and love. I'm going to go ahead and just start rocking. You know, I'll probably go ahead and get back to cranking that a little bit. Hold on. Let me let y'all see the girl. Hold on. Hey, y'all. Ooh. What's it giving, y'all? What's it giving? It's giving Taraji with the 2 buns. Hey, y'all. Peace and fucking love, ladies. I see it's ladies' night tonight. Hey, y'all. So I got a couple of things for you all tonight. I'm so happy that y'all here, me and my 3 ladies. Hopefully it'll start to get jumping in here soon. We will see. But I'm happy to see y'all. I'm happy to have y'all in the chat. I hope y'all can hear me real good. Let me know if like the sound is good. I hope I'm not too low. No, maybe. All right, y'all. So it's just been like a couple of things that's been on my mind. First of all, I hope everyone, before I even get started, had a good day today. I hope that it was everything that you wanted. I hope that it did what it needed to do. Let's start there. Secondly, like I think what's been bothering me the most lately, like in terms of like global news and everything that's happening right now in our time period is the migrant crisis, right? And you know, I've been seeing a lot of things surrounding this, and I knew this wasn't going to be a good thing. So let me see. Before I do that, though, is there one more that I want to play? Slave boats, bitch. I hope y'all got y'all little red cup, ladies. Okay.
Father Ray, Reed Youngin. Come on, man. Fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African. Hey, the niggas trash like some ooh. Try to get back to them slave boats. Hey. Try to get back to them slave boats. Hey. Fucking slave narrative, they phony. Now this nigga named Toby and he owe me. When the plot crop and the stock drop on top, them niggas going. Sold to the bitter cotton pickers, them my niggas. I'ma come down, feed them chitlins and them gizzards. Nigga, I'm the mister, I whip ya, I kill you. In the big house, go down with your sister. Send it back to you, then I send for your mother. Y'all niggas look out, I'ma work it like no other. Make you pick cotton till the sun come and touch it. Till your damn hands and feet and foot all bust up. Look me in my eyes, I'ma backhand the buck up. Nah, Shout out to Grandma Foo. White man came, she the one that sold you. My crew swam to the show and got you. Good ship Jesus, man, that nigga came through. Hey, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African. Hey, the niggas trash like some ooh. Tryna get back to them slave hoes. Hey, tryna get back to them slave hoes. Fuck off it, fuck Glenn, fuck Jeffries, hey. Fuck off it, fuck Ben, fuck Jeffries, hey. Fuck off it, fuck Glenn, fuck Jeffries, hey. Hey. Play with this shit, dude. Begin it. Yo, so PC acrobatic. Fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African, fuck a Pan-African.
Yes. Peace and love to all the beautiful Aboriginal Indigenous Indians of North American landmass, bitch. Shout out to y'all. I love y'all. Look, y'all, before I share this video, first of all, I really wanted to really talk about this topic because, like I said, like, you know, when I think about other groups of people and other ethnicities and other cultures, you know, I really do think about how they look at us as Black Americans or so-called Black Americans. And I think this video really will bring a lot of insight to what these people think, and also to understand, you know, what other people truly think about us on the outside looking in. There's some positives, you know, there's a lot of positives, you know, so it's a good little video. It only came out about 5 days ago. So shout out to these two African sisters from Kenya, because, you know, they really told the truth about us. Because it's always been this big debate about culture, hip hop, who started it, you know, who is the progenitors of culture, and who is copying our culture, and who have we set the tone for, which we've set the tone for every last group. Okay, any type of culture that came from anywhere, it was pinching off of Black American culture, so-called Black American culture. So never forget that, y'all.
You could imagine your ideal way of working. What would it look like? Monday.com can make it your...
Hate Black people. And then a lot of Mexican... I made a video and I shared it on TikTok. And I give an example of how Mexicans, they love basketball and they love rap music, but they hate Black people. And then a lot of Mexican people were in the comment section saying things like, oh, basketball was not invented by Black men. Let's be honest here. When you watch basketball, what are you looking at? Are you looking at Mexicans bouncing the ball? Are you looking at Asians? Are you looking at white guys? Come on. So when I say you like basketball, but you don't like Black people, you know what I mean.
Something that's always frustrated me and confused me is how weird it is when other cultures and different races of people can hardly admit that a lot of things that they do and they started to do was based off of Black American culture and was inspired off of Black people. I was talking to one of my Hispanic friends and he was basically telling me about the Cholo culture and like the 80s and stuff like that. And I was like, oh yeah, and I was like into it at first. And then he said something, oh like, yeah, like we're the founders of hip hop and we made baggy clothes popular. And I was like, hold on. I said, that's not true. I said Black Americans made rap and hip hop popular. Black Americans made the baggy clothes, the wearing the bandanas, the big jean jackets popular. I said, so, you know what I'm saying? I was like, Hispanics didn't start doing that until Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube and all that came out. And just to prove it to him, a few days ago, I saw a video.
She said they ain't started doing that until Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube and them came out. The Chulo culture. What y'all know about the Chulo culture? You know, I find that interesting because I seen the bandanas and the baggy jeans, with the boxes underneath that you could see them. You know, the heavy eyeliner and all that they be wearing. Yeah.
Cholo inspired culture, and literally I was scrolling down, like, you know how you search it up and it shows all like the search videos. All the music that's playing in the background for the Cholo videos were Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, like this old school kind of rap music, and they were all black hip hop artists. There was some like Mexican rap in there, but they were all black hip hop artists. I was like, the Cholo, you have to be able to admit that the Cholo culture is inspired off the Black American culture. This doesn't go on to say that black people created everything, even though it seems like it, because black people's culture is heavily inspired by different people's culture. But it's like people have a, and then like he kind of got defensive in a way, like I was like.
But she said black people's culture heavily inspired other people's culture. That shit ain't nothing but facts. And shout out to her too for standing up and for what's right.
Saying his culture like wasn't his. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that Cholo culture doesn't exist. It does. You have to understand who founded that, who's the root of that. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Mexicans saying the N-word. Mexicans did not say the N-word.
Yeah, that's the biggest one I don't like. That's the biggest one I don't like. I don't think that they should be saying the N-word under any type of circumstance. To me, that's taking it back to like the Spaniards and all of that. When they came and they was calling us those things, I don't agree. Do not call us that. You do not have the right to use the N-word. Sorry.
And so Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg and all them got popular, and then they started listening to music, and the Cholo culture became popular and all that. I was like, you have to be able to accept that. It's not a bad thing. It's not saying that you don't own that culture, you don't have a right to be a Cholo. That's not the same. But other people seem to forget, specifically other cultures seem to forget who founded what they're trying to do. Who was the original creators? I feel like it's important to acknowledge that. I'm not saying Cholo culture does not exist. No, that's not what I'm saying. The founders and the original creators of hip hop and rap and baggy clothes and with bandanas and big chains and grills and nice Cadillacs that bump up and down are black people, black Americans. Let's not forget that.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren and I'm Maureen.
And these two girls surprised me with their commentary, y'all. Listen to them.
So in today's video, we're going to be looking at Black American culture and how it has affected all the four corners of the world. Yeah, it is also important to note that Black Americans have had quite an influence when it comes to their culture and how they are received in other communities, right? Even here in Kenya, we've seen people assimilate the Black American culture from
they are from Kenya, and they said that if they see people in their country emulating black culture in Kenya,
from fashion, they integrate it into their own communities, music.
She said they integrate fashion and all of that stuff, our fashion, into their communities.
If you understand, yeah, the only problem comes in where all of us in different parts of the world, we try to emulate or live like Black Americans, but you find there are particular groups in the world that they accept the Black American culture, but they don't accept the Black American people themselves.
Ho, what she say? They do what?
They integrate it into their own communities, music, you understand? Yeah, the only problem comes in where all of us in different parts of the world, we try to emulate or live like Black Americans, but you find there are particular groups in the world that they accept the Black American culture, but they don't accept the Black American people themselves. What are we talking about? Let's look at.
And you know what's so sad about that is that people from other parts of the world can see that. You know what I'm saying? And then yet we'll still have people who will tell us that we're not struggling oppressively and that we don't have systemic issues and that things aren't happening. When these two girls just clearly sat right here and said it. We got to wake up, y'all. We got to do better than what we've been doing.
This video and then we come back and talk about it.
See, all these people in the DMV are going back to school.
see these people trying to get their hair like out here? Y'all see this? Yeah, these young ladies are amazing. These young ladies are amazing for real.
When I say you love rap music, but you don't love black people, don't start telling me how there's Mexican rappers and white rappers. No. Who sets the trends in rap? The way we dress, who are we dressing like? Let's be honest. We're not trying to dress like white guys. Even white brands, Gucci, you name it. Who makes them popular? Once again, who has the voice? Who has worked hard to be the world's influencers? Who are the trendsetters? It's black people. Black people. And there is no machine helping black people become the trendsetters. And no, it's the opposite. The machine works for white people to make efforts so that white people have the voice that say so, the influence, etc. But yet, black people are this powerful that them systemically oppress them and silence them. They will find a way to be the trendsetters, to be the ones to tell you, look, this is how we're supposed to dress. This is how we're supposed to make music. This is how we're supposed to play ball, etc. When you're wearing jerseys, are you wearing a Mexican basketball player jersey? Stop. You're wearing the jerseys of black basketball players. Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, whatever, you name them. They're black. You've never once seen any Mexican guy with a Mexican basketball player jersey on. I'm sorry. Whenever you wear your shoes, what shoes are you wearing? You're wearing Jordans? Whatever it is that you're wearing, who set the trend for you to dress this way, for you to talk like this and walk like this and behave like this? Who? Oh, but never mind who created it.
The fact, man, he better go off.
Anything. Never mind. Who are you trying to mimic and who it is that you are influenced by? Whenever it is that you're watching basketball, who are you watching? Are you watching it for white basketball players? For Asian basketball players? No. You're watching it for black. What jerseys are you wearing? There's this Mexican rapper who got on a radio show and said something along the lines of this. I'm paraphrasing, but more or less this is what he said. I would never sign to a black label. And I'm thinking to myself, but yet you are taking black culture, monetizing it, exploiting it, and yet you have hatred for black people. You don't feel like you're low enough to be signed by a black label / individual. But will you be signed by a white man? Absolutely. So when you say to me that, oh, white people or non-black people want to be black, that's why they get lip injections, etc. We all just want to take from black. That's what it is. We want to take what we like from black people, but we don't really respect black people. We don't even necessarily like black people. Sure, we may be inspired by a black person, by a Michael Jordan. Sure, I could be a father and I could be the biggest fan of Michael Jordan, but my daughters better not bring a black guy home.
So welcome back, guys, We'd really love to hear what you have to say about this episode. You can leave your comment on the comment section. And what this Mexican dude is saying, I feel like he really speaks from a positive part of his heart. And this is not even us saying it, it's him himself who came out to call his own people out for this. What he claims is that his own community, people from the Mexican community, they like to borrow and take things from the Black culture, but they don't exactly like crediting or acknowledging where it's coming from. And others even go as far as trying to own. You understand? Right. Trying to own. Like the girl who says her husband is Mexican, and she was trying to argue with the husband about the history of Cholos and where they got their culture from. She acknowledges that yes, the Cholo people have their own culture, but a lot of things they borrowed from the Black culture. From the Black culture. And I'll also say this, even we here in Africa, Black American culture really has impacted how Africans behave, as you guys are aware.
Although not so much, because Africans also have a very big culture and cultural identity. Although the younger generation, the Gen Zers, most of them,
not just the Gen Zers, even millennials. You know why I'm saying this? Guys, you can bear me witness. I don't know who amongst you has.
Hey, Swordfish, peace and love.
Peace. Can you hear me? Mic check. Can you hear me?
Yep, there's A.
Hey, Sharice, good peace to you. Peace to everybody in the panel. Hey, in the crowd. Hey, I wanted to come up. I wanted to apologize to you yesterday or the day before. You know, that whole time I did not realize that was you.
When?
I did not realize that was you.
On the panel?
Yeah, on Unscrambled Minds.
Yes.
I did not realize that was you until I thought about it this morning. Cause I was on my phone, so I really couldn't see like the names or nothing like that. But then when the brother came up and the Morris brother, when he came up, then when he was talking trash, I was in the back. I was trying to get on stage, so I was trying to get in, and I was trying to figure out who to text. I text Dulcie, and then Girly Girl sent the message saying, let's forward up. He in the back. So I was like, I had a whole bunch of time to sit back there locked in because I was trying to remember everything he was saying because I was going to deal with it once I got on the stage. And then I heard, it was almost like I heard a woman talk, but for some reason your voice didn't sound the same to me. And it was probably because I was locked in. But I was trying to come up there and handle business. So I was trying to get everybody out of the way so that way I can deal with what he was saying. So that's why I wanted to come up and apologize, because it didn't hit me that until I went back and watched it. I was like, wait a second, who was that? And that's when I looked at it and I was like, oh shit. So I apologize. I ain't mean to handle you like that. I was just trying to get you out of the way so that way I can deal with him.
No, I get it. Thank you for saying that, because I was like, damn, you was like, hold up. Now I remember. And I really do appreciate you coming and doing that. That really means a lot to me. Because shit was a little, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I would have never, had I known that was you, I would have never handled you that way. I was just trying, even like if you weren't a sister, at the end of the day, I was trying to get, at that time in my mind state, I'm trying to get the woman out the way so that way I can deal with him. But had I known it was you, it would have been completely different. I would have never handled you that way.
No, I get it, 100%. And I'm so glad you came up here to say that. That really means a lot to me.
You're welcome.
Hey, Swordfish. Hey, sure.
What's up, girly girl?
How you doing?
Good.
I'm good. It's hot in here in Houston, Texas. I know it's in the 90s. It's gotta be.
That's just another day.
It's just exactly. It's true. But this is why I don't go outside. This is why I don't go outside. Even though this is my home, I don't go outside.
You got to go out there and get sun kissed, man.
That's the reason I went out. I went out and stood in the sun, and I was like, okay, let me get my daily dose of vitamin D. Since people want to say that we don't, we low on vitamin D. I'm like, You go ahead and get my daily dose. I'm not allergic to the sun like some people. Anyway, but I just want to say you did brilliantly yesterday, Sword, because I forgot what you asked him, but whatever you told him at the end, it like, I can't even remember, but it was so good. And I think you were saying something about the Moors
The
coming over
customs.
here. Yeah, no, you were talking about how were they taken over, and you were saying that they bring them over here just to take over them again. The different types of Moors. He was trying to say it was more than one type. It was more than one. He was saying, oh, those are the Moors over there, and I'm like, okay, so where the Moors from? Because this is what we're trying to figure out. Because you can't be from here and be from over there and still be indigenous. It don't work like that. So, you know what I'm saying? It don't work like that. So I'm just trying, because however you said it, and the way you kept kind of expounding on it, and I was like, oh my God, he is annihilating him. And he was so like flabbergasted, he couldn't even speak for like 10 seconds. And then finally, when he came back, he was stuttering. And then you started laughing, and I was like, oh my God, okay, that was brilliant. That was so good. Yeah, you did excellent. Y'all both did good, but yeah. You got
thank you. Now, I was just trying to figure out what he was coming from.
He was like, yeah, this is what I did with Top Cats, and I'm like, oh, like as soon as he said that,
no, you didn't.
I didn't see nobody else but him.
Okay, Red.
I ain't see nobody else but him. I was like, yeah, I'm finna go ahead and put him in the dirt.
Yeah.
And I was like trying my hardest. I was like, somebody let me on the stage, man. Goodness gracious, ain't nobody paying attention.
Hell no, because we was all trying to figure out what was going on there.
But real quick on this whole topic with this is actually one of these ladies, they've done a good thing by speaking about the fact that our culture is being sort of hijacked and praised all in the same. It doesn't make good sense or great sense, but I always say everybody want to be black until it's time to be black, is what I used to say. But now it's like everybody want to be an Indian until it's time to be one. And so every single thing I feel like that's attacked about us is things that make us uniquely Indian. And it's not just the color of the skin. That's not it. It's something else about us that makes and I just think that number one, every single thing that we like to do as a group, we enjoy each other's company. We really don't need anybody else. We really don't need anything else to entertain ourselves with. We could listen to each other tell jokes. We could watch each other play football and basketball and play sports and run and jump, and it would be no problem. Sing, dance, all of that. We have absolutely no problem being in each other's company. That doesn't mean that we're not gonna fight and get, shoot up each other. That don't mean we still gonna have them same problems. But as far as being in each other's company, I don't have to go outside of the people that look like me in order to, have a good time. And I think that is the big drawback to them trying to come to this country and deal with us, because we are not going to ever try to infiltrate what they have going on, because it's just not interesting to us. It's not interesting to us what they're doing, what they're saying, what they're cooking, what they're wearing, none of it. Now, you may find some things about their culture that you like, and you may say, hey, I want to eat some Mediterranean food. I want to eat some Iranian food, but it's not when you really want to come to your house and throw down, and you want to go to your grandmother's house or your mama's house or whoever, you want the food that we know and love. And you're never going to tire of eating it. And it's good. So I think that that's part of what I see. I mean, I'm sure there are other things that other people can point out, but I feel like I know that they have a problem that we don't need anything else to entertain ourselves, and they are to enjoy life. We can enjoy life with each other, and so they have a problem with that, because that meant that they were coming here, they weren't going to be able to make money, they weren't going to be able to do anything trying to have us patronize their business, because we don't say, well, that food ain't good, or I'm not gonna go. They can't play basketball. Why am I gonna go over there and watch them? Do you understand what I'm telling you?
Yes.
So yeah, that's kind of what I mean. That's what I see. So.
Yeah, I see the same thing. Especially when they said that everybody want to be a Black American until it's time to be a Black American.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%, because the issues that we have to deal with, You know, even when we share the same skin color as other people, we don't get addressed the same way by law enforcement or anything. So,
How many Africans do you know that, like, when you think about like prisoners and people getting arrested, and I don't see that happening to any other group but us.
mm-hmm.
Oh, it's some
I
other
agree.
stuff I'm gonna show too.
I don't
It's just
see.
half
I mean,
of it.
in Houston, I'm just saying, and we have I think we have the largest Nigerian population, like grouped up in the country, if I'm not mistaken. Last time I checked.
Yeah,
So,
that's
but I
little
don't.
Lagos out there.
Yeah, Lord Jesus, they are everywhere. But I mean, over the years, like I've worked with, like we got third generation at this point, and they kind of started coming here in the 80s. So a lot of people a lot of Africans have been here. Their kids were born here. Now they got grandchildren. So, but I don't see those boys getting hemmed up like our boys get hemmed up. I don't see it. I don't see them complaining and that they arrested African men or boys of any of them. Cameroonian. Where else we have another population out here. We have a lot of Liberians too. Liberians, Cameroonians, and Nigerians. And none of them are getting hung up. None of them.
Well,
Yeah, we got a nice sized population out here in Georgia too. So it's a growing population as well. A lot of them, the cultures are starting to become a little bit more intermixed out here. So, everybody like hanging around each other now. It wasn't like that for the most part when I was coming up in school, but now it's a little bit more relaxed, and I'll probably say there's a lot more. You know what? I don't know. I don't know. I was gonna say there's a lot more understanding, but then again, I can't really say that because if you do your tree, you'll see where you delineate, and then it'll make it more clearer where you have commonalities with people. And the majority of people ain't done their family tree like that. So I don't know.
Are
I
you
have to think
in Atlanta?
about that one. Yeah.
Okay. You're in Atlanta, right? Okay.
You all have called this the cheap fake.
You gotta say something, Sharice?
Did she step away for a minute? Maybe.
She probably did.
Okay.
She lost signal. Dropped off.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, so like I just I noticed that with the just in general, I just started thinking about that recently. That because everybody keeps saying, well, it was, it's a skin color, and I was like, no, that's not it, because until I really began to discover that we were different, I didn't really see it based on I don't know how to put it. Like, I always knew there were differences, but like sometimes you're talking to somebody and you don't realize that they're not really you until something pops off. And then that's when the differences come out. And it's like, oh, okay, they're not really one of us. That's what the problem was. I knew it was something. And it may have been like a working situation, like, you're thinking that they're going to side with everybody else on the floor that looks like you, but they don't. And it's just like, oh, I forgot she's Nigerian. She ain't going to side with us. She's going to side with the white girls. That kind of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I'm a nurse, and it's a female-dominated thing, and it's a lot of Nigerians that are nurses, Nigerians and Filipinos, and but for the most part, like they always side up with the others. They don't side up with us, and so it's not until things like that happen that I realize it's a difference. But now here recently, I'm beginning to see that there are more differences than just the skin color. That's how I know we're not the same people. We didn't come from them. We just didn't. No, we didn't.
Well, see, the one thing I always noticed was like our physical differences. So even with like learning in school, everybody came from Africa and we all the same. I just could not, how we got these 3D machines these days where they can take two people, and if they were to produce a baby, they can kind of tell you what the baby might look like as a kid and all the way. I used to try to do that in my head. So when they say, our grandmothers and stuff got raped by the slave master, okay, I know what an African looked like. I know what a white person looked like. And I used to try to model it in my head to say, if you take this white person and this African and mix them together, is it going to produce me? And I just could never see it. I could never, because we have examples of what that
Right.
looked like today.
Exactly.
So
And
go ahead.
it wasn't until I saw a picture of my great grandmother, and my grandmother was saying, like, my mama was an Indian lady, and that was the first time I saw a picture of her, and she was I think I was like late 30s, early 40s. And the only reason my grandmother got the pictures is because her sister died and gave her the picture. I mean, that's how she ended up getting the picture. This picture was super old. It was probably, I think it was taken the year my grandmother was born. It was like 1925 or something. But, and I'm looking at this picture like, this woman don't look like no Indian. It's a black woman. She's just a light-skinned black lady. But I didn't say it to my grandmother, because my grandmother just starts giving me this history lesson. And so I'm listening, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, all right, okay, I guess that's what she looked like. She was an Indian lady, but I didn't think anything else about it. But as time progressed, I'm looking at all the people in my family, and I'm saying, so how you still got light-skinned people, but you're so far removed from anybody in the family that you know to be white? Since they're saying that this is how we got, like, we all was just super chocolatey, and then we got mixed with some white folks, and then this is how we ended up. So how do you get this, like, this drops of light skin? Because it will pop up in the family, and the only thing people can say was, sometimes the children, they reach back and they be light skinned. I'm like, but both of their parents is chocolate. This don't make no sense.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I somewhere along the way I said, this is genetic. It's not anything that we're getting just from us intermixing with them, because I'm looking at just my family, and it'll be a whole bunch of brown, and you see one light-skinned person.
Where the hell they come from?
Where they come from? So, okay. So this is not just us mixing with somebody light skinned. It's in the blood. It's in the lineup. And yeah, that's what really made me start. Once I saw a picture of her, and like I said, it just started making me question everything, because in my mind, what I had thought an Indian looked like, it didn't look like her. She just looked like a light-skinned black lady, and I was just like, okay. But then again, I'm saying, where she come from? Well, maybe it was an African, and it was another Indian with some long black hair, some light skin, white skin. Maybe they got together and had her. And my grandmother said, no, they was both Indians. Both of her parents was Indians too. And I'm like, okay. And I'm not questioning her. I'm not about what skin color looked like, but she's talking to me and telling me this story, and she's not bothering to tell me anything about, oh, well, it was an African over here and they intermingled. She didn't say any of that. She's just telling this story, and it's just as is. And in her mind, she's not, because that's not where she's coming from, because Indians look like how they look.
Yep.
And I don't think she realized how indoctrinated we had been in school, even in the 70s, because that's when it started. They started to pump it out to us, because we used to only have national, was it Negro Week or Negro Day? Then it went to Negro Week. Then it went to Black History Month, Negro History Month. Because when I was a kid, it was still Negro History, and then it became Black History. So, oh yeah, it was Negro History Week or something like that, and then we had Negro History Month, and then it got changed to Black History Month at some point. I don't remember when, but yeah. So we didn't have all that, and like Top was saying the other day, it's always the same people: Benjamin Banneker, Phyllis Wheatley, who else? The same cast of characters. You always get that. You always get that picture of what's his name, Martin Luther King. He be in the center, and then all the other little pictures around it. It's always a drawing. It's never a real picture. And Harriet Tubman, she down there somewhere in the corner with her head tied up, and
with her blue bandana on.
Yeah, with her bandana on, colors. And so I'm like, all right.
Girl, she out there game banging, boy.
That's right, girl.
Harriet Tubman would have been out there on stage with Kendrick Lamar had he been around.
I'm like, okay, because other than that, I don't really see what else she did, because I refuse to believe that she was going to Canada every other weekend on her magic carpet, taking these mystery Negroes that she didn't pick up at the plantation. Because that's what they made it. And I'm so mad I fell for it. They literally made me think that she was going to Canada like every other weekend, dropping off these wandering Negroes that she picked up on this railroad. I believed it. Y'all, really? I did.
Nah, that shit was a scam.
And somebody was like, how long it take you to walk down the street? I'm like, you know what? You're right.
That's a long
How
walk.
the hell did she drag these people from the South to Canada?
That's a long walk.
That's man, look. I'm talking about blisters in the feet gone. What is they talking about? What type of shoes is on this type of mission? This is what I want to know. There must have been some savior shoes, bitch. Listen, I'm not playing with Harriet Tubman in this.
They
What
from
type
the
of
deep
shoe?
South. The deep South, y'all.
We don't be thinking about nothing. I know it be sounding funny, but I'm dead serious. What type of shoes? What type of boots was made for walking to Canada?
The same people who made that magic carpet made them shoes she was wearing. Okay, that's what all I can tell you.
That's a long walk, boy.
It's a long walk.
Hold up, y'all. Let's finish these two girls.
Yeah, let's finish these ladies.
All right. But I appreciate you letting me up, Sharice.
You know, I know you ain't meant no harm. I know when you try to deal with what you gotta deal with, you gotta deal with it as a man.
Gotcha. It's all love.
I understand. You know, I can't get in men's business. You gotta know when to stand down.
Yeah, but I just want to let y'all know y'all both did good the other night. I'm gonna drop back down so I can drink my wine in peace.
Yes, and enjoy the show.
I got some more. The show.
The girl got her Moore's wine.
Bring them over here. You gonna bring them over here. I'm telling you. Hopefully they over there smoke situation.
They over there arguing. They over there just.
I know.
Lord, I had to click off. I clicked off and I was like, who else on? Because I can't. Not right now. My gummy haven't kicked in. My glass of wine not fixed. I can't deal with that right now.
I would do my best up here to keep y'all, keep y'all right, keep it mellow tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they over there arguing about. Maybe we'll peek over there and see what they arguing about.
Yeah. Once we finish this. Yeah. Once we finish our calm.
Yes.
Okay.
Build first. I don't understand it, but anyway.
Has been to Nairobi, but if you come to Nairobi, it's a perfect example of a metropolitan city that you cannot pinpoint who is coming from where unless you sit down and have a conversation with this person. Why? A deep conversation with them. Because a lot of people in Nairobi, beginning from the airport, you'll find a lot of people from how they speak. Africans, you'll hear this, but I know a Black American can tell an African with a fake accent, or better yet, a Black American can tell an imposter amongst them, right? Africa, they're going to be like, but there are those ones who really speak it well, that is what we mean. People are really assimilating and acquiring the culture of Black Americans, If you find traditional African culture here in Kenya, there are people who are not living in the cities, but every city, major cities in Kenya, you'll find people are dressing differently. People are not connecting with their traditional sides,
Right.
because of what we are talking about in this video. And Mexicans and you saw the hairstyles we displayed for you. That was happening in Korea and China. That is Asia, right? There's this trend where apparently being having black hairstyles, that is like the new in thing for them, and most of them actually go to monetize or become TikTok, Insta fame or TikTok famous because of the hairstyles. Did you guys see the lady with who had her hair done into an afro? And I'm telling you that is natural. They're mixing some chemicals. They found a way to make chemicals that do that with their hair. Yeah, like whoever said when you want anything duplicated or made, you can start it.
All right, y'all, they killing me a little bit, but I feel enough. So y'all, did y'all hear about these migrants running wild? Yeah, shout out to Power Book 2 Ghost, man. I'm mad as shit. That's the final season, y'all. That's my show. Shout out to Power. Y'all, that's still on my mood board. I can't hold you. Hold up. So I got a couple stories. Right. So I got to back on. There we go. Migrant charged with 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungare was released in U.S. just a few weeks ago. Hold up, it's his ass, and then this other migrant right here. Yeah, I think this is the same one. Migrant arrested in broad daylight. Blank of 13-year-old in New York Park. Yes, peace, Chief Crazy Overstanding.
What they are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith. The right-wing critics of the president, you all have called this the cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video.
That's about Trump wild ass. All right. Oh man, I gotta read it. Okay, hold on. I don't mind, but I don't feel like it. Oh, what? Because it's something else I gotta read. I'm trying to save my energy for that. I need to turn the lights back on too. All right, here we go, y'all. Let's do this shit. And look, and I'm only bringing this to y'all attention because I'm sure y'all heard about it though. But y'all gotta think about how okay.
The award-winning taste of President Club.
Because I don't know, my stream is getting real faulty. Okay, here we go.
As we were going through and looking to see if we could find anything else, and the teams were out there and they were scouring every potential video feed, and they were talking to everybody possible that might have seen something or heard something. And their hard work paid off because we were able to find video and trace the movement of our suspects. And
why these issues is happening. All right.
Money can't buy happiness. Look at that.
You made a great video.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck the tea is, y'all. Okay, so anyway, let me just move along. Here we go.
Live now from Fox, the time 1:13 on the East Coast and 10:13 on the West Coast. Do want to get back into that breaking news that we have been following here out of New York, as the NYPD Chief of Patrol did announce a short time ago that they do have a person of interest now in custody in connection to the sexual assault of a 13-year-old girl last week in Queens. Now, as we know, a short time ago, we did get a very brief feed coming in of a news conference where police, the NYPD, did break down the latest information here. We now have that full news conference, so I do want to pop up the audio and we can listen in.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Last night, thanks to our tireless effort Detective Bureau, and especially the Queens Special Victims Squad, a violent criminal has been taken off our streets. The rape of a 13-year-old girl last Thursday in Casino Park, Queens, shocked our entire city. The horrific crime was committed in broad daylight, and our investigators immediately went about finding and apprehending the person responsible. For 4 straight days, they worked around the clock. They canvassed neighborhoods, collected evidence, knocked on doors, circulated photos and video, and they never let up in their efforts to close this case. Our department reached out to the media and to the public, and our city was united in getting justice for the victim and her family. No tip went uninvestigated. Every call to 911, 311, and Crime Stoppers was critical. And just after 1 a.m, after several days of engaging the public for their help, a call came in that a suspect was seen in the confines of the 110 precinct. Officers responded to the location, removed the individual from the station house, and after further investigation, we are confident that this person who committed this terrible crime is now in custody. Today, the next phase of the Criminal Justice Bureau begins. We will continue working closely with the Queens DA to hold this person accountable. But now, I want to thank all of our investigators who relentlessly pursued justice in this case. You are a true credit to this department, and you continue to make all of us proud with your unwavering dedication to the people we serve. I want to thank the media for spreading the word and keeping people informed about this case and about every major case we investigate. And I especially want to thank New Yorkers.
So they arrested this punk. Hold up. I'm gonna have to, do y'all, like, I don't know if y'all even know the details behind what happened with that. Hold up, y'all. Okay. First, let me go back to right here, because this is the one I wanted to start with. Governor says migrant charged with rape at shelter entered Massachusetts through federal program. So they coming into this country and they're raping people. Excuse my language. This is what's happening. And everybody who got on board with that Joe Biden train and did all that shit, you know what I'm saying? This is, y'all paying for that. Y'all paying for it.
Says Alvarez entered the U.S. through a migrant who's accused of raping a disabled girl at a shelter in Rockland was vetted and cleared by a federal program before entering the country. WBC's Beth Germano was live for us in Rockland tonight. Beth, the governor obviously upset by the accusations.
Well, the governor calls what's alleged to have happened at this Rockland hotel just a horrible situation and says she is still trying to gather all the facts. Now, the man charged with sexual assault is here lawfully, and the governor says the state does what it can to check the backgrounds of everybody in the state's shelter system. We want to see accountability and justice in this matter. Governor Maura Healey responding to questions about the sexual assault that's alleged to have occurred at this Rockland Comfort Inn, currently housing migrants as part of the state's shelter program. 26-year-old Corey Alvarez, a Haitian migrant, is charged with the rape of a 15-year-old girl, also from Haiti. This person was vetted by the state in terms of a background check and a check that we do for all entries to.
Look at her shoulders, y'all. Look at her posture. She don't even look like she telling the truth. Hi, Smoke Signal, Sweet Feathers, Girly Girl, Darius McNibb. Hey, Brown looking no ice. What's up, y'all? Come on in, come on in, come on in.
To our shelter, and he cleared that. The governor says Alvarez entered the U.S. through a federal program, though didn't specify if it's CHNV, which allows some Haitian migrants to come legally for 2 years with sponsorship. And while she believes the state follows proper procedure, she again called on the federal government to step in. We have vetting in place. We continue to have those measures in place. And we continue to call on the federal government, specifically Congress, to act and find what it needs to find in terms of resources at the border.
As a patron, I don't know if he's a manager or National Guard.
It was around 7 o'clock Wednesday night. A front desk worker called 911 to report the assault. The alleged victim said Alvarez brought her to his hotel room to help her with an iPad, and that's when she says he raped her. David DeCoste, the district state representative, questions if there is reliable information on Alvarez's background and said in a statement, "I am absolutely appalled by the incident that took place in Rockland. Above all, my heartfelt sympathies extend to the young girl who has reportedly been subjected to abuse. The Commonwealth has failed this young girl."
The governor says security systems are in place, but now it's up to the criminal justice system. My heart goes out to the victim, the alleged victim in this case, and her family, and we need to let the criminal justice system do its work. Now, the teenage girl was taken to the hospital while Alvarez is being held without bail until a dangerousness hearing next week. He has to surrender his passport and have no contact with the alleged victim. Reporting live from Rockland, I'm Beth Germano, WBZ News.
Man, they out of control. All right, y'all. So I also found this article that I thought would be interesting to shed light on, that I just happened to see just popped up in my goddamn little feed, you know, when you're on your phone and stuff like that. So I found this one, and then this one about the draft, and hold up, it's another one I got. Hold up, it's supposed to be one more up here. Oh yeah, I couldn't get that one to download properly. Okay. So National Museum of African American History and Culture acquires the largest collection of Charleston slave badges. Y'all ever heard of a slave badge? Let me know, y'all. It's okay. You know they always try shadow ban the real ones. The Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture recently acquired what is thought to be the largest and most complete set of historic Charleston slave badges. The collection includes 146 rare badges dating as far back as 1804. It also features badges with maker's marks, and 2 with personalized inscriptions. To share the stories of these objects with a worldwide audience, the museum has launched a searchable museum feature at searchablemuseum.com/slave badges, which tells the historical significance of Charleston slave badges and the museum's recent exciting acquisition. We are honored to share the story of enslaved African Americans who contributed to building the nation, said Mary Elliott, an MAHC museum curator. It is a story that involves the juxtaposition of profit and power versus the human cost. The story sheds light on human suffering and the power of human spirit of skilled craftspeople who held on to their humanity and survived the system of slavery, leaving their mark on the landscape in more ways than one. Through this digital offering, visitors can engage with objects and learn about the legislative system of leased enslaved labor in Charleston, South Carolina, those who profited from the system, and how enslaved African Americans navigated the landscape of slavery using their abilities, skills, and intellect. In addition to providing the history of Charleston slave badges, the new Searchable Museum feature will provide insight in collecting archaeology, the role of vocational training, and the meaning of freedom. The slave badge system was initially legally instituted in Charleston in 1783 as a form of control and a source of profit. The badge system required that enslaved African Americans whose labor was leased out by their enslavers were registered identifying badges. The badges identified the occupation of the enslaved laborer, whether as skilled craftsperson or a servant. It was a form of control and surveillance over African Americans who had limited autonomy to move about the city conducting work. But today, they are reminders that the enslaved were skilled workers who built much of Charleston. All they do is just try to throw shit in here to continue to make this slave narrative real. They'll do anything. A slave badge, Mo? Where the fuck y'all get these from, Bob? Collection of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. Partial gift of Harry S. Hutchins Jr., DDS Colonel, retired, and his family, dedicated to the individuals these slave hire badges represent and their descendants. Y'all ever seen anything like that before? Have y'all ever heard of a fucking slave badge? You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, so here we go. So let's get to this. Hold up. Before I get to that, let me do this.
Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. No, always keep it thousand. Slow mo. Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. No, always keep it thousand. Slow mo.
All right, y'all, here we go. So listen, I found this article easy, not a bad search, but I'm really fascinated with the history in Virginia and just everything that occurred in Virginia with our people. And like I said, it's a true connection for me because, like I said, I'm from DC. My folks is from Virginia. My roots are there, so my relatives are still there to this day. And this is just going to really talk about the Powhatan people more specifically, and the color line and just being indigenous in Jim Crow Virginia and understanding this whole thing. This is just coming from her perspective. Okay. This is from my girl. What's her name? I'm moving too fast. Laura J. Felder. Hey, Libra Sun Master Builder, baby. So this is from the University of Oklahoma. The University of Oklahoma. Being indigenous in Jim Crow, Virginia. So her introduction was really interesting. So I really want y'all to listen to her introduction to this whole thing. And then it goes into some stuff, but it's 275 pages. I'm going to do what I can do, and then I'm going to wrap it up. But I just wanted to show y'all some videos and stuff first. I just want to kind of, lighten the mood because, and talk about the migrants because for real, one of them cut me off today while I was driving, and I wasn't feeling that shit. For real. Okay. It's a book. Okay. God damn. So her introduction. So chapter 1 is called At Home in a Strange Land. Chapter 2 is called Virginia's 1924 Racial Integrity Law. Chapter 3 is called Constructing Native Identities, 1865 to 1931. Chapter 4 is called White Ethnographers and Salvage Ethnography. Ethnography. Chapter 5 is called The Aftermath of the Racial Integrity Law, 1930s to 1950s, an epilogue, acknowledgments, notes, and a bibliography. Ooh. Okay. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Let me know if y'all can see that. If y'all can see that on y'all screen. If y'all can see the words as good as I can see the words. Let me know. Because we always say we like this history and stuff. My DC sister copy Miss Parker. Oh yeah, speaking of DC and the DMV area, y'all, I'm trying to plan the DMV Aboriginal link up. I'm dead serious about that shit. The Aboriginal Indian link up. I'm thinking like end of the summer type vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like we all just get together. I don't give a fuck. Anybody could come for real. But really, I know like people that's local and kind of close. I think that would be a good look for us to start reaching out and touching hands and getting to know one another. Because I think that's one of the issues here is like we can sit on the internet and argue all day, but you don't know what people really do in their real life, and we do need to try to come together into camaraderie and, like I say, just reaching out and touching one another. Okay. Oop. In March of 2015, Kevin Brown, chief of the Pamunkey Indians, this is just the introduction part, guys. Chief of the Pamunkey Indians replied to opponents of the Pamunkey petition to join the list of federally recognized Native American tribes. We met the English and John Smith. Pocahontas was Pamunkey. It's crazy that we're not recognized by the federal government. We should have been the first recognized tribe. The Pamunkey effort succeeded and was confirmed in 2016. In the past, federal officials had argued that because the Pamunkey were party to colonial era impacts rather than treaties with the United States, they were in the realm of the Commonwealth of Virginia. The Pamunkey effort succeeded and was confirmed in 2016. In the past, federal officials had argued that because the Pamunkey were party to colonial era pacts, they said that they were party to colonial era pacts rather than treaties with the United States. They were in the realm of the Commonwealth of Virginia, not the federal government. So when they're talking about making a pact instead of actually establishing a treaty, come on now, cut the nonsense out. However, that does not explain why in 2015, the Pamunkey, who have continuously held their reservation lands in the Tidewater, Virginia since the 17th century, and whose political organization that state has recognized for generations, had some difficulty in the Bureau of Indian Affairs acknowledgement process. In 2015, public opposition to the Pamunkey petition sprang from multiple bases and biases. Some opponents anticipated that the Pamunkey tribal government might at some point establish a casino. These included investors in a casino not far away in Maryland. A California group warned Virginians that the sovereignties of federal recognized tribes constituted no taxation and unfair competition with local non-native businesses. Some convenience store owners in Virginia expressed similar fears. Opponents also seized upon racialized arguments that the Pamunkey had faced for decades. For years in the 19th and 20th centuries, some white Virginians argued that because of the history of sex and marriages between Native Americans and African Americans, no one in Virginia should be considered a quote-unquote full-blood Indian. Some who opposed the 2015 Pamunkey bid for federal recognition raised again that old argument about Virginia Indians, quote-unquote, mixed ancestry. One opposition group emphasized that at least one of the individuals cited by the Pamunkey as a tribal ancestor was a free Black man who didn't move onto Pamunkey land until he was in his late 20s. The argument that a person called a free Black in the 19th century government records must necessarily be non-Indian ignores a long history of inconsistent practices and methods that white officials use to ascribe racialized identities to indigenous Virginian individuals. It also ignores the realities of family making and community building among Tidewater Native people who did not live on reservations. Over generations after 1607, Native American, European American, and African American individuals worked together, lived as neighbors, loved, married, and raised families across racial lines. But in spite of the plural nature of their society, white Virginians attempted to build quote unquote race as a black-white binary in which everyone was on one side or of the other side of a single two-part color line. What we even saying? The existence of Virginian Native Americans and their connections to African Americans and European Americans challenged the notion of race as a black-white matter, potentially and sometimes directly. As a result, official records did not always accurately or consistently reflect cultural identities of indigenous Virginians. Yeah, this is her introduction. This is just her introduction. But you know they're going to use modern day terms. Beneath the 2015 critique of a Pamunkey ancestor as a free black also lurks that the idea that one drop of African American quote unquote blood must make a person black or colored. In antebellum years, government records such as census counts often lumped together Native Americans and free African Americans as free persons of color. Jim Crow era census records might categorize a single individual as black, quote unquote, mulatto, or Indian in different census years. A single individual, yes. Clearly, one historic document that identifies a Pamunkey ancestor as a free person of color or black is not necessarily a reliable indicator of the racialized identity ascribed by white officials to that individual over the course of his or her lifetime. And it likely tells us even less about how that individual defined her own identity. We can reject the idea that someone who had moved on the Pamunkey land as an adult was not, could not, and should not be regarded as an Indian and part of the Pamunkey community simply because white officials had at some point categorized her or him as a black person. Okay? Listen, the Virginia plight is real. Like, I don't agree with the African American terminology and stuff like that. Like, I don't agree with how they try to separate us from each other in history when it's like the Indian is like the whatever Indian they're referring to, we do not look anything remotely close to those Native Americans. So what Indian is y'all talking about? It's the Negro. Only the Negroes and the so-called Europeans. The ones y'all call white now. The ones y'all call black now. All right. Good evening. Peace and love. Yes, y'all coming on in now. Peace and love. My people. So let me keep reading. Give me a second, y'all. I really hope y'all doing good. Like, I hope y'all going to enjoy this read because, like I said, it's just an interesting read. And it's about indigenous life in Virginia. So, like I said, we're just going to keep rocking. We all are smart enough and able to discern that, you know what I'm saying? They're going to use modern day terms, but Bad Saint, you 100% correct. Everything that you saying. Everything that you saying. All right. But what she said right here was key. What she said right here was key. And it's like, what we don't understand is how much they've intertwined our history, how much they fucked up our history, how much they've mixed everything up to create a bunch of lies. But you can't deny that one thing. You can't deny that one thing. She said, we can reject the idea that someone who had moved onto Pamunkey land as an adult was not, could not and should not be regarded as Indian and part of the Pamunkey community simply because white officials had at some point categorized her or him as a Black person. Some opponents of the Pamunkey's application for federal recognition criticized them for past quote unquote civil rights violations and discrimination against African Americans and women. This critique ignores extreme pressures the Pamunkeys faced before the Civil War and as Virginia Jim Crow's regime developed. For those who insisted that there could be no full-blooded Indians in Virginia because of a history of quote-unquote race mixing, those pressures stem from whites' desire to dismantle reservations and otherwise to buttress the segregation and disenfranchisement of all people of color by denying that any Virginian, not white, could be other than Black or colored. You correct, carb Aborigines. That's what I need to start doing, putting Indian right in place of it. Claiming Indianness, these whites feared, could be a tool for escaping Jim Crow. Do y'all hear this? The only reason why we couldn't be Indian is because that would get us out of Jim Crow. That would get us out of segregation laws. That would get us out of all that bullshit that they were pulling in Virginia that they had no business pulling, breaking the law. Breaking human rights, excuse me. Some Virginia Indians responded by denying historic family and community ties to African Americans. And what you really need to be saying is they're the darker skinned people. But anyway, community ties to African Americans and excluding them from Native organizations. In the era of segregation for Native groups, this probably looked like a matter of survival. Thus, in their recent successful quest for federal recognition, the Pamunkey people heard both that they have too many Black ancestors to be Indians, and also that their historic efforts to assert their Indianness by denying ties to African Americans are a barrier to federal recognition. Both critiques echo painful episodes in the histories of Virginia Indians descended from peoples of the 17th century Tidewater Powhatan chiefdoms, whether they live on or off of one of the two present-day state-recognized Pamunkey and Mattapony reservations. My project focuses primarily on Tidewater Indians, historically and currently living between the James and Rappahannock rivers, people historically descended from Algonquin-speaking groups related to that famed Powhatan chieftaincy, especially the Pamunkey, the Mattapony, and Chickahominy of New Kent, Charles City, and King William counties, and their Indian neighbors in those counties who were not formally part of those organized communities. Other Virginia Native peoples, such as the Monacan Nation of Siouan heritage and living west of the Tidewater, also suffered through Jim Crow. They largely conducted their affairs separately from Powhatan and Chickahominy indigenous people throughout the Jim Crow era. So did Nottoway peoples, historically Iroquoian-speaking people who lived south of the James River in Tidewater country. The backstory of how Tidewater indigenous people weathered decades of the ever-stranger career of Jim Crow is long. For centuries in what is now the southeastern United States, so-called African Americans, Native Americans, and European Americans lived, worked, had children together, and shared cultural riches, even as those centuries racialized legal, economic, social, and political barriers could cruelly mar those unions and exchanges. Before the early national period, among many southeastern Native American groups, adoption, marriage, community participation, and observance of community norms, and sometimes a period of captivity could cement group membership and relationships in the absence of homogeneous quote-unquote blood and in the presence of quote-unquote colored ancestors to make someone part of the community in ways not congruent with whites' ideas about race. This is all them. Parentage mattered and matters, but so did other forms of acceptance by the group. Clan kinship / membership, which among some Native communities derived from the status of the mother, could be a key factor. It could be conferred by adoption. In short, European quote unquote ideas about blood and race were foreign to structures of community and individual identity in many pre-contact Southeastern Native American cultures, whose practices differ from whites' genealogical and legal norms. Quote unquote race, as Europeans conceived of it, eventually gained influence among Southeastern Indians over decades in late colonial and early national times. European Americans and the economic systems that they brought to the hemisphere exerted pressures that, in the long run, contributed to the erosion of the matrilineal systems and infiltrated race into the Native culture and social life. Native peoples at some times and places came to accept, modify, or acquiesce to European American ideas about race and the status of quote unquote African Americans. That helped to shape post-Civil War efforts by Tidewater Indians to separate themselves from their Black neighbors. Yet, as the anthropologist Melville Herkovich acknowledged years ago, significant numbers of African Americans claim some Native American ancestry. Like Virginia's Mobile Hobson, quoted in Chapter 3, they live Black but retain memories of ancestors who were Indian or lived among Native peoples. Ooh. Creating race fundamentally involved prohibiting interracial marriage. Virginia's first law forbidding such marriages in 1691 explicitly included Native Americans among those forbidden to marry white individuals. Another milestone in the centuries-long chain of Virginia's laws against interracial marriage was a 1924 act to preserve racial integrity, perhaps the most drastic end of Virginia's litany of such legislation. The 1924 law also marked the moment when the notion that one drop of Black blood made a person legally Black or colored was enshrined in Virginia law. Remarkably, the 1924 act did that by defining what made an individual legally white. The law read, for the purpose of this act, the term quote unquote white person shall apply only to the person who has no trace whatsoever of any blood other than the Caucasian. It accepted from that standard, making them legally white for the purposes of this law. Only individuals who had 1/16 or less quote unquote Indian blood and those whose other non-Indian ancestors were white, a standard now satirically nicknamed the Pocahontas exception. Before 1924, Virginia law had generally set the boundaries that put an individual on the non-white side of the color line by defining mixed race identities in terms of fractions of ancestries, the blood quantum concept. Behind this, 1924 Virginia law was a long history of racialized ideas about personal and group identities, citizenship, sex, and marriage in the European American world. In the European American world, 18th century efforts to explain differences among the world's people using natural history-based classificatory schemes, 19th century scientific racism built on that earlier discourse, and late 19th century and 20th century eugenics. So we all know what eugenics is, right? Because that shit was a blatant attack on us. In 1924, in Virginia's 1924 law, Jim Crow racism fed on the eugenics movement argument that the genetic qualities of the human race could and should be improved by careful attention to the genes of the potential parents. Eugenic rhetoric helped justify the 1924 laws, ostensibly absolute, no trace whatsoever standard for whiteness. but in its 1/16th measure of the number of Indian forebears allowable in a legally white person. Then see, now she's talking about it. Now here, if white people had Indian in them, and if they had Indian in them, they just erased Indian and just said it's just going to be black or white. You're just going to be black or white. Okay. Ow. All right. Eugenics rhetoric helped to justify the 1924 law ostensibly absolute, no trace whatsoever standard for whiteness. But in its 1/16th measure of the number of the Indian forebears allowable in a legally white person, the law referred also to legal traditions that define race in terms of blood quantum. Thus, this law married that older notion of quote unquote blood to the rhetoric of eugenics. This suggested that enforcement of the law could be grounded in verifiable, quantifiable, biological, and genealogical facts. Her not having commas right there is crazy work. Yet the word blood connoted not only the ideas about genes and genealogy, but also blood as a semi-magical inheritance of racialized quote-unquote gifts. Those gifts supposedly shaped essential inherited racial identities that link biology and culture. Whites have historically tried to justify and explain race in America as if it were a natural, self-evident concept with unquestionable explanatory and integrative powers. This is the unstable foundation of racialized stereotyping and supposedly predictive determinative descriptions and prescriptions about social and economic status, citizenship, and mental capacities that still haunt this country today. Peter Wallenstein has detailed that laws forbidding interracial marriage have colonial roots, and that after the Civil War, they became a cornerstone of Southern segregation. Though not all states of the former Confederacy acted at the same time or in the same way to renew or reinforce legal prohibitions on miscegenation. By 1924, such laws were widespread across the United States. Most states at one time or another have had laws restricting interracial marriage. Massachusetts' version of such laws, for example, was in effect until 1843. California stood until 1948, and when it was struck down in the state court. Across the country, these laws varied in their targets and their definitions of what constituted forbidden interracial unions. In some states, they applied to racialized groups other than African Americans, using terms like Mongolian and Malay to describe Asian peoples. For Mississippi Choctaw people, when the legislature passed laws against interracial marriage from the 1880s on, those laws did not embrace Native Americans, likely because of removal era Federal Treaty language about the Choctaw who stayed in Mississippi, and related state laws of the 1830s ostensibly made them citizens on par with free whites in Mississippi, and also because of their small numbers, their social cohesion, and their relative obscurity in post-Civil War state politics. Yeah, I don't know about that. In Louisiana, a Supreme Court ruling in 1810 implied that since American Indians were persons of color, they could not marry whites. The 1870 revision of the state civil code did not include provisions forbidding interracial marriage. In 1894, interracial marriage again became illegal in Louisiana, and Indians remained persons of color within legal lines that defined such marriages. In 1920, a Louisianan law declared the union of an Indian and a person of the color or black race as misogynetic. In 1932, yeah, it was white or colored. Yep. Black didn't come until much later on. Bad saying. You're correct. It was always colored. It was Negro. Those were the terms that were used back then to describe our people. They weren't describing us as African Americans. They weren't describing us as any of that. When they, like I always tell people, when we read these articles, we got to understand that they're coming from a modern day perspective, but you can't deny, what I'm saying, what she's saying in this article, that ultimately everybody was jumbled up, man. And this is a fact. And like, this is how they took us and removed us out of our natural being and from who we are, and made sure we stayed far away from that. And this is the shit I don't like. But like I said, I wanted to read her introduction because I said it's a very, very interesting perspective and a breakdown. And she broke down a lot, like Cop originally said. And she's going to break down some more. So let's keep rocking, y'all. I hope y'all feeling good. Keep walking with me. Ooh. Give me a second, y'all. I'm sorry. This shit ain't nothing but facts. Hold up, I'm gonna keep reading. Just give me a moment, y'all.
Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. No, always keep it 1,000. Slow mo. Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. No, always keep it 1,000. Slow mo.
All right, y'all, let's keep rocking out. All right. In 1932, Louisiana's Attorney General opined that marriage between white persons and Indians was not prohibited in Louisiana. Louisiana's legalities of the 1920s and 1930s throw into relief that the fact in that era, Indigenous Virginians were not forbidden by the state to marry black partners, while legally they could marry a white person only if they met a spurious Pocahontas exception. Shortly after statehood, Oklahoma established an effect that if an individual was not black, he or she was white for purposes of marriage, and situated Indians on the not black side of Oklahoma's color line. And situated Indians on the not black side of Oklahoma's color line. As Sarah Douche put it, to do otherwise, that is, to identify the state's Indians people as non-white, would have raised the possibility that, quote, whites could not only alienate large groups of Indian voters who knew quite well that the status of blacks held in white eyes, but whites could also shoot themselves in the foot in terms of access to Indian land through marriage. In the early 20th century, in early 20th century Virginia, Indigenous Virginians had less influence and leverage in numbers and control of land than Indian people in Oklahoma. And so Virginia's 1924 legal standards for interracial marriage reinforced efforts to place Native Americans on the non-white side, whether black, colored, or mulatto, of a color line. Look, y'all. I don't know how many times we gonna reiterate that we the Indians, y'all. Like, they are not calling those Asian people colored, black, or mulatto at all. And that's what y'all need to understand. They up there cosplaying. And it's like they can't really say it, but they need to just tell the truth. Because all this acting like we was separate from them and all that, nah. Yep. That shit was against us. Talking about some putting them on the non-black side of the fucking law. What the fuck? Okay. Legal enslavement of Indians in Virginia had ended in the distant past. Legal enslavement of Indians in Virginia had ended in the distant past. In 18th and early 19th century Virginia, some enslaved Virginians had even sought their freedom in court based on having Indian forebears. Yet, in antebellum years, Virginia's non-reservation Indians were generally officially labeled free people of color with the legal disabilities that the status entailed. Legal disabilities, y'all. They said this entailed legal disability, and it do. That the status entailed. Ain't nothing changed. After passage of 1924's Act to Preserve Racial Integrity, opportunities for Native Virginians to establish their identities as Indian, not black and not white, were as problematic as ever, as proponents of that 1924 law used eugenics rhetoric to justify their segregationist campaign. By 1924, eugenics was embedded in American media and thought. Some eugenics advocates in this era had professional credentials and therefore some credibility in presenting eugenics as scientific. Writing about 1920s trends, Eleazar Barkin noted that while some scholars like Franz Boas raised possible quote-unquote alternatives to biological determinism, it took time for such alternatives to gain credibility, not just in the general public, but also within academic institutions. He argued cascading these racist positions as pseudoscience is therefore anachronistic. But we can acknowledge that race and class bigotries were fundamental to the world view of eugenics advocates. These people was racist, y'all. Flat the fuck out. A rhetoric of eugenics was on full display in 1924 and 1930. The state of Virginia law passed and to re-articulate what would be considered legally white and black to define whiteness in more restrictive ways. When the 1924 Act allowed an exception for marriage between whites and individuals, with no other admixture of blood than white and American Indian. This blood quantum language derived from legislators' desire to accommodate elite white families who proudly claim descent from Pocahontas. But as Chapter 2 demonstrates, that exception, 1/16th benchmark, prompted the law's promoters to argue that all Indigenous Virginians were really, quote unquote, colored, having African Americans in their family trees. They argued that potential marriages of Native Virginians to white partners were a serious eugenic threat to racial integrity of the white citizenry, because if African American quote unquote blood existed outside of the recognizable Black population, it might easily spread unless marriages and official racialized identities were stringently policed. Child, please. Do y'all hear that? All Indigenous Virginians were really colored. All of them. All of the Indigenous Virginians were really colored. They keep saying this. Yeah, get them likes up. Oh. Seriously, y'all see that? Come on now. Y'all gonna keep lying? They argued that potential marriages of Native Virginians to white partners were a serious eugenic threat to the racial integrity of the white citizenry. Because if African American quote unquote blood existed outside the recognizably Black population, it might easily spread unless marriages and official racialized identities were stringently policed, giving centuries of Black and Indigenous and white relationships in Virginia. Enforcement of the 1924 law was bound to collide with the realities of Indianness in Virginia and to expose complications and absurdities inherent in the Black-white dual racial divide that Virginia officials worked so hard to build and maintain. The 1924 law became a centerpiece in a campaign by Walter Plecker, head of the Virginia's Bureau of Vital Statistics, to ensure that no one in Virginia could escape Jim Crow by claiming to be Indian rather than Black. Bruh, the Virginia people are Indians. We are Indians, bruh. Straight the fuck up. And they went through all this trouble to make sure that they could cover it up. Ooh, I don't like that 666. Narratives about Tidewater Indian families and groups in the wake of this 1924 law may seem obscure tales from small places, but their stories illuminate American conceptions of race, racial, and ethnic identities, community, family, and marriage. As a law against interracial marriage, the 1924 statute exemplifies how in the United States, racialized identities have been integral to contest about class, sex, and reproduction. As Matthew Fry Jacobson observed, the policing of sexual boundaries, the defense against hybridy, is precisely what keeps a racial group a racial group. It is no coincidence that in 1924, Virginia also passed a law allowing for sterilization on eugenic grounds of Virginians living in the state institutions who appeared, quote unquote, feeble-minded or quote unquote defective, a law that the U.S. Supreme Court notoriously upheld in its 1927 Buck versus Bell decision. Virginia was far from the only state with the program for eugenic sterilization or institutional segregation of the eugenically quote unquote unfit. Man. And that's what I be talking about. They don't want to be talking about the real shit. They don't want to talk about the real shit because I kept saying it. Like they were out here sterilizing our women without their permission. All the ones that people that they felt were quote unquote feeble-minded or defective. I guess Miss Fannie Lou Haber was feeble-minded and defective. How dare they put their hands on us? Hi, OTK. Peace and love, boo. It's good to see you in here. I'm over here teaching about this motherfucking indigenous Virginia history, and they need to understand how they were lumping people into groups. And I'm gonna keep saying it. Keep saying that shit. Swing, dun, dun. Hey, where have you been? I need to find that go-go version. That thing be rocking. I'm trying to tell you. I need to find that too when I take a little break. All right, y'all. Let's keep rocking. The 1924 Act to Preserve Racial Integrity arose. Hold up, y'all. Ooh. The 1924 Act to Preserve Racial Integrity arose in the world of racialized segregation, but also in the context of rationalizing, modernizing ambitions of post-World War I state governments, of long-running contests about the meanings of citizenship in the wake of the 14th and 15th Amendments, and of eugenics ideas applied to immigration. In 1924, the U.S. Congress authorized a round of yet more restrictive immigration quotas. Restrictions based in racist eugenic ideas and supported by advocates like New York lawyer Madison Grant. Grant helped popularize the eugenics-based argument that years of large-scale immigration by people who were not quote-unquote Nordic or Anglo-Saxon would damage the white racial stock of the United States. In Virginia, advocates of the 1924 racial integrity law sought Madison Grant's support to put eugenic thinking in the service of southeastern segregation. In the service of southern segregation. Many eugenicists in the United States at the moment were concerned about immigration from the Southern and Eastern Europe as sources of genetically quote-unquote inferior, somehow not quite white enough racial stock. As Dan Kells put it, in the United States between 1900 and 1930, the biological distinctions that mainly obsessed eugenicists were not those between whites and blacks, but those then believed to divide whites. In contrast, white Virginians who promoted Virginia's racial integrity law of 1924 and a follow-up law in 1930 that further defined blackness and Indianness were mainly fighting for a black-white divide. Elazar Barkin has argued that the success of federal anti-immigration measures of 1924, along with America's relative isolation and prosperity in the mid-1920s, decreased some of the popular fear that fed eugenic thinking nationally in the United States. In Virginia, though, proponents of the 1924 integrity law used eugenic-sounding appeals in their campaigns against the Virginia Indians precisely to stoke those fears, as outlined in Chapter 2. As the U.S. Congress in the 1920s mandated increasingly restrictive measures to limit the numbers of immigrants of a certain ethnicity on eugenic grounds in 1924, it also declared as a blanket matter of law that all individual American Indians born in the United States are citizens of the United States, which was welcomed by some indigenous people, but also reflected the assimilationist goals of those who felt indigenous Americans must adapt to white society. Facing this national focus on race and assimilation, Tidewater Indian people pursued varied strategies to maintain, retain, construct, and reconstruct their Native American identities. Their actions exposed the instability of the construction of race as a black-white divide. They were creative and persistent, while constrained and influenced by what Grace Elizabeth Hale called the culture of segregation. At times, Tidewater Virginia Indians in the Jim Crow era echoed some of the racialized ideas of the former larger society in which they lived, as did others Southeastern Indian groups. For example, as Catherine M.B. Osborne observed, Mississippi Choctaw people were labeled themselves, quote unquote, full-blooded from the 19th century in ways they had not done earlier, and formally took up a quote unquote blood quantum language by at least 1934. However, their rhetoric suggesting a lack of race mixing in the community did not necessarily mean that the Mississippi Choctaw at the moment shared white Americans' ideas about race, phenotypes, Choctaw citizenship, or Choctaw identity. A black-white binary notion of race may not have fit Choctaw historic lived experience of the mixing of indigenous white and black people any more than it did of the lives of native Virginians. Look, y'all. The only people who had these ideas was white folks. Those pseudo-scientific ass racist bigot people, okay? And we was just too much for them. It ain't like that energy, honey. And they wanted to cut that shit out. Okay? And I don't think people really care about this history like they should. Battles for Indian identities and communities in Virginia, as in the rest of the country, involve not only marriage law, but also dispossessing Native people of their lands. Over decades of efforts by whites to classify Virginia Indians as free people of color, mulattoes or blacks, Virginia's reservations ultimately were disassembled as tribal lands for practical purposes, except for those of the Mattapony and Pamunkey that remain today. Did you hear that? And I've read so many articles talking about how these white agitators came in and was breaking shit up, was over there saying they don't look Indian, they must not be Indian, they must not, they are Indian, we are Indian. Y'all mad as shit. Y'all mad as shit. There's the truth coming out now. Because it's like they want to try to act like it's this lumping thing and all of that going on. No, it's much deeper than that. It's much deeper than lumping people together. Okay? And like somehow this large so-called African-American group were the ones who were strictly labeled as the coloreds, as the mulattoes, as the blacks. Y'all don't, that's not correlating. That's not correlating to y'all. Because y'all want to hold on to that fucking slave boat. That's the fuck why. That's the fuck why.
Shout out to the mama chief. Yeah, you be quiet when Big Mama speak. What she gave us is a part of me. It flows through my arteries. Even on that journey, that love grows how the garden be. The first to teach us when we sick, the first to heal us. Mama's boy, yeah, you know, her pride and joy. Soul food, yeah, you know, I'ma enjoy. Calm you down just by the sound of her voice. There isn't another feeling inside when they cheering you on at your game and you feeling the pride. You and your siblings fighting, she gon' make you put them feelings aside. She can't lead you down the road, but she can give you the guide. Where you think I get that blissful look in my eyes? I need a side of ice cream with Bim's apple pie. You know for sure for Mama Chief, you know I'ma ride. Cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. The greatness, the patience, the foundation, the knowledge passed down so many generations, our motivation. I just want to thank you for my creation. Cause we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. The dedication, I seen your tears at my graduation. Now look, Ma, your boy that made it. You the reason I'm one of the greatest. Yeah, cause we all need our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all love our Mama Chiefs. Yeah, we all ride for Mama Chief. Now be quiet, let Big Mama speak.
Yes, peace and love. I'm glad y'all still here with me, y'all. 2 hours and 19 minutes. And man, I feel like I want to rock for a long time tonight. How y'all feeling? Because I don't even care. Because, you know, I got a little free Friday night. I haven't been able to really go live like I wanted to. And I really love being with y'all. I love being able to read, and we all learning together, and we're all taking in this information, and we're getting smarter as we go along. And that's what this is all about. You know what I'm saying? I always say, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you don't need to be in that room. Dang, y'all, it's 9:51 already. Hold up, I gotta call my little situation, y'all. Seriously, not that type of situation. Yeah, I'm about to say straight smoke. You know, I'm gonna drop the link. You know, I'm about to drop that link in a minute. But I want to get through some of this and at least get through some of that chapter. But listen, y'all, this is about our education. Like I said, I read through these things, but I'm still also learning. But when I'm reading with y'all, it's like I'm still going over things, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, you know, whatever. But they want to keep acting like we try to claim an identity. We ain't trying to claim it. It's ours. It's our culture. It's ours. And we ain't never lose it. We lived off the reservation and we did all right. You know, it ain't where it should be. It ain't perfect. But we still standing in the fire of that shit. We ain't fleeing. In the words of Tariq Nasheed, I like that shit. Because we ain't running off nowhere else. We standing right here on business. My sister said she was going to see Bad Boys 4, y'all. Have y'all seen Bad Boys yet? I'm going to get back to my reading in a minute. But have y'all seen Bad Boys? My sister said she going to go see it tonight. I said, shit, we could go tomorrow, man. Because I'm trying to fuck with my people tonight. But we could definitely... Oh, man, I took the music off right there. Hold up, y'all. Because I kind of want to hear Juice jump.
Yeah. What the wild Indians like, though. It's like butter. I hit them low, aboriginal flow. You pants best to lay low and get the rap for show. Coming round here, tell us who it is. But these niggas don't know who the fuck they is. With that pseudo talk, about we came on boats, chained on boats. Fools can't even stay afloat. The fake league, where they all get choked out, slaughtered. Riding on them boys with the truth we spoke. The keep they whole fleet, burnt mesquite. Tear them out the front. Every time we bang, bing, bing, on they brains. Got them slumped up in the panels. Fools don't stand on candles. World all in shadows and begging for handles. Sitting at the back door for hours, talking about let me in. No, we ain't friends. It's all about the aboriginals, wild Indians. It's all about the aboriginals, them wild Indians. Kill a pan when I see a pan. Love for them haters when I see a man. Kill a pan when I see a pan. Love for them haters when I see a man. That's what's up. Kill a pan when I see a pan. Love for them haters when I see a man. Kill a pan when I see a pan. Love for them haters when I see a man. Kill a pan when I see a pan. Love for them haters when I see a man. When I see a pan, when I see a pan. Love for them haters when I see a man. Kill a pan when I see a pan. Love for them haters when I see a man. Kill a pan when I see a pan. Love for them haters when I see a man. Kill a pan, see a pan. Kill a pan, kill a pan, when I see a pan. Kill a pan, kill a pan, kill a pan, kill a pan, when I see a pan. Kill a pan, kill a pan, when I see a pan. When I see a pan, kill a pan, when I see a pan. Okay, y'all. At times, whites justified their efforts to take Indian lands and dissolve reservations. Hold up. There we go. Can y'all hear me?
Let me know if that sound good, y'all. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to y'all. I'm probably gonna go over there and be nosy and smoke signal channel once I'm done. I mean, I ain't gonna log off, but I'm talking about probably show his little video. I mean, yeah, show his little live and see what they cooking in there. Yeah, shout out to the brother Richard Nail Bay too, man. He be really tagging me and posting me and stuff like that, y'all. Shout out to that brother. He a real G. Thank you. I really appreciate it. All the love and support from everybody because we need to support each other. We really do. What's wrong, conscious robot? You stupid straight smoke. I'm not feeding into it. I ain't doing it. A straight smoke. Somebody need to take your phone. I hope y'all doing good. Might have did too much. Because y'all know I'm going to have to get situated. Make sure y'all share this to y'all communities. Share this to your wherever the fuck you want to share it. Just share it. Because I'm having a good time. And I'm glad y'all in the chat showing the girl love. Because I know everybody over at Smoke's popping, you know, but I'm glad y'all over here with me. I'm glad I got my viewers. You know, it's like it's crazy because you can have viewers, but like they don't type in the chat. So, whatever. At times, whites justified their efforts to take Indian lands and dissolve reservations by arguing that intermarriages with blacks made those Indian communities no longer Indian. And non-reservation Tidewater natives who did not join with reservation people or other recognized Tidewater indigenous groups like the Chickahominy also faced tricky choices about when and whether to identify themselves as Indian in legal situations and official documents. At times, whites justified their efforts to take Indian lands and dissolve reservations by arguing that intermarriages with blacks made those Indians communities no longer Indian. What type of fucking claim is that? How are you gonna make a wild, obnoxious claim and say, oh, well, they must not be Indian? If they're dark, then none of that makes any logical sense. Michael Omni and Howard Winnott have argued that since the early 1940s, many Americans have come to view race as a variety of ethnicity. That is, race may be seen as a social category in which culture and ancestry both contribute to personal and community identities. At the same time, explicitly, racial and racist perspectives on race, rooted in the formerly dominant paradigm of the pre-war era, have lived on in the South and to some degree in the Southwest. Even after World War II, Tidewater Native people did not indeed deal with that formerly dominant paradigm. Virginia's 1924 Act to Preserve Racial Integrity remained in effect until the Supreme Court's 1967 Loving versus Virginia decision, which struck down laws against interracial marriage across the entire nation. Since many white Virginians viewed Indianness as a racial and so largely biological category, would it have been possible for Virginia natives to construct Indianness as an ethnicity in early 20th century Virginia? So largely biological category. Would it have been possible for Virginia natives to construct Indianness as an ethnicity in the early 20th century Virginia? What? If in that era, some indigenous peoples in the New England refashioned their identities by emphasizing ethnic over racial underpinnings. That strategy would seem more difficult for Southern Native groups in their Jim Crow setting. Southern federally recognized tribes have had a long history with federally fostered racialized methods of determining tribal membership based in blood quantum concepts. And for Southern indigenous people who are not federally recognized, the legal codification of race as a black-white divide historically has had crushing power to place natives on the black side of that color line. She is not lying. Who are the natives living off the reservations? All right, hang on, y'all. Africans ain't got no fucking history in America. Definitely not more in Virginia than the black people who were already there. The so-called black people, the true Indians, the original people. You guys are motherfucking trolls. All right, hang on, y'all. I need to pump out peace and love to y'all though, but y'all don't try me today. So-called 20 and odd Africans were enslaved in Virginia. So-called Africans, but they're saying now that they may not have even been African at all. In fact, they might have been from somewhere in South Americas, and they came to Jamestown. So let me hold on, y'all, because I gotta go handle something real quick. So let me just throw this on. I'll be right back.
What it look like, man?
Let's see, you know what it is.
Man, I feel the same way you feel about
Word.
I just don't want to rush, man. I just want to take it one day at a time.
Me too.
That way we reach the highest point of friendship.
What's the highest point? Let me know.
Then whether you know how far to take this flight.
That's what I'm talking about.
You don't just jump in the plane and fly and don't know where you're going first. Just chill, baby. I got you.
We don't have to run, baby. We can chill. Just keep patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life. Come on, let me show you. We don't have to run, baby. We can chill. Let's just keep patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life. Come on, let me show you.
See, you don't have to rush. Baby girl, be patient. Anticipation of love making. Got your legs shaking. See, every time I'm next to you, I feel your heart beat faster. But yet you try to hide behind your smile and your laughter. See, money's what I'm after, so all I do is chill. I'm out here on the grind. I'm trying to see a meal. You never seen this good life? Well, come on, let me show you. You never had a real hug? Well, come on, let me hold you. This life I lead is troublesome. You win some, you lose some. You lost one, then gain one. You want some, come get some. See, everything you want, you need, I got you. Even though you don't know me, I don't know you, baby, I got you. That's just how it supposed to be. Rather have you next to me, never in front or back of me. You look good beside me, but we take it there. It's some things you need to know. We don't have to rush, baby, we can take it slow.
We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Just keep patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life. Come on, let me show you. We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Let's just keep patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life. Come on, let me show you.
Said you like me this way. I ain't about games, I'm trying to front. See something that you want, then get it. Ice cream man always deliver, never late. I come on time. Tell me, girl, what's your room size? Sitting here, watch you visualize. I can't lie, see it in your eyes. Fantasize, I'm with you all day, all night. Let me strap your seatbelt on before we take these flights. You know I'm helicopter high. Baby, you know I'm on a wide, baby, we can vibe. And that's just how it is. El Blizzo keep it realer than all the rest is. And don't compare me to them other dudes. I act a fool with my tool. Lock it down, just for you. You got a man, you can keep him too. I don't want him, I want you. Got a couple friends, but I got a couple too. Just let me know, girl, what you gon' do. And we can keep it on the low, long as you know, baby, just take it.
We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, but come on, let me show you. We don't have to run, baby, we can chill. Let's just be patient before we take it there. See, you don't really know me, and I don't really know you. Never lived a good life, but come on, let me show you.
Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. No, always keep it thousand. Slow mo. Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. No, always keep it thousand. Slow mo.
Hey y'all, peace and love. Hold up, because I'm gonna get back to my article in a minute. But hold up, I just wanted to share this because let's talk about this 1619 bullshit. Okay. In 1619, some 20 Negroes were brought to Virginia. At least 11 have Spanish names or probably Spanish character. Later, they were joined by quote-unquote Negroes and quote-unquote mulattoes with names such as Antonio, several, and John Pedro. These Spanish-derived servants could well have been part American ancestry. However, no evidence is available except that they were largely secured from captured Spanish vessels. So are they talking about the same 20 and odd? All right, then. We're not going to keep going to that. Hold up. Now, where was I? Damn, where my article go? Here she go. When says drop the link, come on up. Y'all understand the message. All right. Here we go. All right. Shit. My bad, y'all. Okay, flooded 19th century, formerly. I read all that? Yes, I did. Yeah, I think I started down here. And for the southern, and I stopped down here. And for the southern indigenous peoples who are not federally recognized, the legal codification of race as a black-white divide historically has had crushing power to place natives on the black side of that color line. Karen Blue suggests that the Lumbee people in North Carolina have a history of viewing themselves in terms essentially ethnic rather than racial, at a time when only a few social scientists use the term. While asserting their indigenous status, the Lumbee, a relatively large group, had remarkable success in gaining state recognition despite their Jim Crow circumstances. For smaller, non-reservation Native communities in Tidewater, Virginia, the road to state recognition was harder and longer. Whether or not ethnicity was a viable option for Virginia natives in Jim Crow times, that should not cloud the fact that First Nations, to borrow a Canadian term, have particular legal status and claims on the United States government. For Southeastern Indigenous groups in general, there is and has been a looming question of how their sovereignty, if only as semi-sovereign or domestic dependent nations, intersects with their cultural and social distinctiveness. Did reservation Virginia natives pursue nationalistic strategies to assert Indian identities, giving their 17th century treaties and their reservation lands? Oh, shit. Did I? Yes, I did. Okay. Some scholars critique nationalisms as tending to foster static, essentialist models that can contribute to rigid conceptions of racialized difference. On the other hand, strategic essentialism, as Omi and Winnett have labeled some kinds of responses by subordinate racial groups to a dominant society's power and prejudice, can provide unifying tools to resist racist moves by powerful outsiders. For Native peoples, strategic essentialisms, such as the use of pan-Indian imagery, can be productive strategies. In chapters 3 and 5, we will look at Tidewater Indians' use of pan-Indianisms. A question perhaps more salient for Jim Crow era Tidewater Indigenous people is how group and individual cultural and social identities can draw on a sense of shared historical experience. If some Tidewater natives at times accepted aspects of racialized ideologies to delineate themselves, they also drew on a common history that includes the well-known narrative of their contact with the English colonists in the early 17th century, Virginia, to affirm their indigenous identities. As they contended with racialized group concepts such as blood, organized Tidewater Virginia Indian groups announced their shared local and group-specific histories as descendants of famed 17th century Algonquin, Powhatan peoples. Such historical grounding can undermine static monolithic notions about ethnic racialized identities. In looking at how Tidewater Virginia natives adapted to prevailing European Americans' ideas about race and retained, maintained, affirmed, invented, and reinvented their Indianness after the Civil War. Look, after the Civil War won, what did this say? In looking at how Tidewater Virginia natives adapted to prevailing European ideas about race and retained, maintained, affirmed, invented, and reinvented their Indianness after the Civil War, I draw on an excellent historical literature on the development of ideas about race in the Southeast over centuries, As that literature shows, some indigenous people in the Southeast eventually adapted or adopted European notions about race and participated in the racialization and enslavement of African Americans. Also, many Southeastern Indians eventually found themselves lumped with free people of color as white Southerners took legal steps, especially after 1830, to disfranchise and marginalize all non-whites. As whites' conception of race accompanied increasing Anglo economic and political power, whites' idea about quote unquote blood quantum as an essential maker and marker of racial identity could be accepted by, adapted by, or imposed on Native communities. That's crazy. This eroded other, more traditional ways of defining who was or was not part of a Native community or polity. For Native people who lived among and with African Americans, that could lead to cycles of denial of Black ties to Native families and groups. Toni Morrison's character Susan Bird put it this way in Song of Solomon: you know, colored people and Indians mixed a lot, but sometimes, well, some Indians didn't like it. The marrying, I mean. Thus, in the Southeast, when ideas about blood quantum as applied to Indian peoples intersected with one drop notion of what makes someone Black, the results were especially pernicious to Native social life and tribal sovereignty. I argue with other historians that meaningful and realistic ways of defining Native identities reflect not blood quantum, but rather group participation and relationships of reciprocity among members of a community, shared language, history, and other cultural assets, and ideas about kinship, such as clan membership and adoption, that can transcend biological parentage. To ground this argument concretely in individuals' lived experiences, Chapter 1 tells of the extended family and descendants of Lucy Pierman Scott and her second husband, William Scott. When Lucy and many members of her family left Virginia for Canada in the 1850s, at least two of her grown daughters stayed in Virginia. Probably only a handful of the descendants of those two daughters ever lived on Virginia reservations in King William County, though they had many links to the indigenous family in New Kent and Charles City counties. Census and other records treated their Indian identities in contradictory ways, exposing the vagaries of official racialized designations in Jim Crow Virginia. Yet, in some of these non-reservation families descended from Lucy Pierman Smith, traditions of Native ancestry persisted over decades and generations, despite officials' denial of their Indianness. Look how long it's been going on. Our people is Indian as shit. They don't want to fucking recognize it. And then they want to tell them that they're not Indian. Those of Lucy's descendants who stayed in Virginia showed that living near and marrying within other Native families were among key strategies for claiming and maintaining Indianness among non-reservation indigenous families after the Civil War and into the 20th century. To underscore what organized non-reservation groups like the Chickahominy and families like the Piermans were up against, Chapter 2 looks at the context and motivations for the passage of Virginia's 1924 Act to Preserve Racial Integrity, Lord, and subsequent efforts to refine legal definitions of race in Virginia in 1928 and 1930. How was it that state officials came to focus on Virginia Indians in their efforts to enforce that 1924 law? In doing so, those officials added to general pressures on non-reservation Indians to marry and live within the clusters of other Native families, and they harassed Native individuals and families. Such harassment dramatized the painful day-to-day, immediate, direct consequences of Jim Crow era efforts to deny Indian identities to Native Virginians. Chapter 3 and 5 look mostly at reservation and other organized Native groups, in contrast to Chapter 1's emphasis on when and how non-reservation individuals asserted Indian identities in the Jim Crow era, and when they did not directly challenge a black-white color line. So, y'all, I wanted to go over this introduction because this introduction was so fucking sweet with it. Like, child, look at me. Overall, it was great. So I think we're about to finish it, and then I'm going to drop the link just for that introduction. But we're going to continue to build on this article, on this book. You know, we're going to put it in parts, but we're going to continue to build on it and grow, and we're going to learn. And, you know, that's what it's going to be. So Chapter 3 examines trends before 1924 to explore how Tidewater reservations, dwellings, and other organized indigenous people had publicly been working to maintain, proclaim, reclaim, and reimagine their identities as Indians after the Civil War. As whites entrenched a Jim Crow regime, Mattaponi and Pamunkey reservation people maintained their tribal lands and organization. Some other non-reservation Tidewater groups, the Chickahominy, Upper Mattaponi, and Rappahannock, for example, created new formal tribal organizations and built new community institutions, such as separate churches and schools. To some degree, these Tidewater Native groups did carve out a third category in the face of efforts to place them on the black side of the binary color line. But they managed this at the cost of taking some measures that were exclusionary or on racialized grounds. When organized Tidewater Indian groups affirmed their separation from their black neighbors, they implicitly accepted whites. They implicitly accepted They implicitly accepted whites' notions about race. The reservation groups also demonstrated their Indianness in public performances that linked them to 17th century Powhatan history. As Kevin Brown's 2015 comment shows, the Pamunkeys still emphasize their role in colonial encounters between Powhatan and English peoples more than 400 years ago, and point to the celebrity of Pocahontas. Those performances embrace pan-Indian imagery. This, I argue, signified not a pan-Indian imagery. This, I argue, signified not a loss of cultural authenticity, but rather the ability of reservation groups to connect their Southern experiences and history to a national history of Native presence, colonialism, and whites' appropriations of Indian lands. Chapter 4 shifts the focus to white ethnographers who ventured to affirm and describe Indian identities in Tidewater, Virginia. It explores fieldwork by ethnographers of the Smithsonian's Bureau of American Ethnology and by the University of Pennsylvania's Frank Speck and his students from the 1890s into the 1940s. These white ethnographers used their scholarly authority to assert that particular Tidewater groups were really Indian. Their work reflected the era's assumptions about the importance of quote-unquote blood and being quote-unquote full blood for Indian identities, but it did more than that. Frank Speck's lifelong interest in Eastern and Southern Native peoples, whom some whites did not see as real Indians, and his willingness to comment on contemporary Virginia Indians' political battles show that he took a broader view of cultural change and Native identity than some of his contemporaries. This chapter looks at professional ethnographers of early 20th century grappling with assumptions about the vanishing of Indian culture and what makes authentic Indianness, assumptions that continue to dog Virginia Native people today, as in the recent fight for the federal recognition of the Pamunkey. While white ethnographers' interventions could be a mixed blessing, the work of the ethnographers also highlights Virginia Indian skills in cultivating white allies for their own political and social purposes. Chapter 5 explores consequences for Native Virginians of the 1924 Act to preserve racial integrity, focusing on strategies that reservation and other organized Tidewater Native people between the James and Rappahannock rivers used to affirm their Indianness in the 2 decades following 1930. After 1930, these people faced sustained scrutiny and opposition from state officials who denied their indigeneity. In federal initiatives such as the census and the World War II Selective Service, they also encountered challenges as their identity to, they also encountered challenges to their identities as Indians. In response, Tidewater Virginian natives continue to build community organizations and to perform in public as Indians, strategies they had developed since the 19th century. God damn, that's a long ass introduction. Girl. In this project, I intend to look with empathy at Tidewater individuals and groups who challenge racialized ideas and practices by asserting their Indian identities in Jim Crow, Virginia. It is impossible fully to imagine someone else's experience, but attempting that leap of imagination is necessary. I do not intend to exploit anyone's historical pain or to speak for a subaltern. I hope that Virginia Native people will perceive that I do not pose as an authority on their cultures, history, and social structures. I also hope that learning about the lives of the Tidewater Native Virginians will give non-Native readers a vivid, concrete example of the fluidity, instability, and destructive power of the construction of race in America. Along the way, I hope readers will question assumptions behind the race-based arguments of opponents of federal recognition of the Pamunkey tribe in 2015 and 2016, including the concept of being full blood. And I devoutly hope that Lucy Pierman Scott would find that what I have written respectful were she alive today. Race, marriage, citizenship, and immigration remain arenas of conflict. But today, Americans in general may be relatively more open to stories that erode the idea of race as a monolithic, biological, and therefore immutable phenomenon. Americans regularly hear about mixed race celebrities such as Tiger Woods and Meghan Markle in popular media. In the 2000 census, for the first time, Americans could check more than one box to indicate their racial identities. Still, many Americans may assume that the fabled one-drop notion of what makes a person African American was historically ubiquitous, undisputed, indisputable, and as a matter of law, uniformly prevalent over time across the country. If the idea of a color line as a rigid and natural black-white divide is losing some grip, it's losing some of its grip in America today. Stories of Native American people in Tidewater, Virginia, constructing their Indian identities during Jim Crow contribute to our understanding of conflicts resistant in the history of that invented binary conception of race. And this is what I've been telling y'all. We sometimes say the suggestion that race is somehow not real if we no longer view it as a natural biological phenomenon. To refute that, let us seek out stories about the history of race as a set of power relationships whose persistent strength we must acknowledge. If we are to forward in public policy and as fellow citizens, friends, and neighbors of people who are not like us, as Matthew Fry Jacobson remarked, the challenge is not only to recognize the fluidity of race, but to find ways of narrating events, social movements, and the trajectory of individuals' lives in all their integrity along the convoluted path of an ever-shifting racial reality. All right, y'all. We on to chapter 1. Okay, on October 29th, 1854, William C. Scott and Lucy Pierman Scott wrote to their dear children in rural Tidewater, Virginia, from Brantford in what is now Ontario, Canada. I am in good hopes that this may find you all well, and making up you minds to leave old Virginia, my mother home, and my heart mourn with sorry to think that I had to seek a home in a strange land among strangers for the sake of children For the sake of my children, it was hard for me to part with some of my good friends in Virginia. And so it will be with you all. But for the sake of you children, you must part from your good friends also and come to a land where you children can be men and women. The Scots had left Virginia to settle in Canada shortly before. Why did William and Lucy uproot themselves and then urge their children to migrate to Canada so their grandchildren could become true men and women? That question involves legal definitions of racialized identities and obstacles blocking free people of color in antebellum Virginia who sought educational and economic opportunities. Some of Lucy and William's children did leave Virginia for Canada, but they left behind two of Lucy's married daughters, Anne Eliza Pierman Wynn and Susan Pierman Howe, Lucy's children from the first marriage to Michael Pierman of New Kent County, Virginia. They and their husbands were likely the intended recipients of Lucy and William's letter. In their letters to Anne Eliza Susan and their husbands, William and Lucy painted a picture of Canada as a rich impossibility for farming and educating children. Perhaps as further enticement, they added also there is a good many Indians in this province, and some of them are very rich. They want a good deal of land, and some of them has very rich farms. And I am told they are doing very well. That is very few blacks in this city, indeed, to look and hear. And in some other cities that I have been in since I left old Virginia, that is such a few that sometimes I think I left them all behind in old Virginia. The Scots' interest in Six Nations people in the Brantford area and in African Americans and African Canadians was not casual. In the 1850 census for Henrico County, Virginia, William Scott, Lucy Pierman, and others in their household appeared as quote-unquote mulatto. Their letters suggest that the designation did not precisely reflect William and Lucy's ideas about their racial position, though these texts do not explicitly claim Indianness. However, succeeding generations of their extended family include multiple individuals who claimed indigenous identity despite inconsistent official labeling of their racial status. Lucy's sons, McFarland Pierman, for example, figured in different censuses over the years as quote-unquote mulatto, black, and Indian. Thus, the letter of Lucy Pierman Scott and William Scott to their Virginia children are a window on the experiences of a cluster of related families maintaining their native identities over generations despite formidable racialized barriers. Only a few individuals in those families lived in the Tidewater, Virginia's formerly organized Powhatan Indian groups. But some of Lucy and William's descendants who remained in Virginia pursued strategies for guarding and presenting their Indianness that included marrying within other Indian families, living in proximity as related to families, and helping one another economically. Their persistence in asserting their Indianness through Jim Crow era demonstrated the tenacity of Native communities in the Commonwealth. Individual white Virginians occasionally recognized Virginia Indians' indigenous identities, as when Lucy Pierman Scott and son McFarland Pierman was enumerated as an Indian in 1900. Generally, though, from antebellum years to the 1920s and beyond, powerful white Virginians argued that after centuries of unions between African, well, obviously Negroes and Native Americans, all Virginia natives should be considered black or of mixed race. State officials committed to the concept of race as a black-white binary lumped together and marginalized all mixed race and non-white people. Quote-unquote free persons of color and mulatto functioned as a catch-all labels. That whites applied to some individual Virginians who saw themselves as Indians. All over the South, Native people faced white officials haunted by the facts of interracial sex and marriages. They want to keep making it seem like it's because of that, but they know what's up. They know what's up. The experiences of Lucy Pierman Scott's descendants in Virginia show that whites' efforts to construct race as a black and white dichotomy clashed with the reality that for centuries, indigenous white and black people lived, worked, and loved together in Virginia long before Lucy Pierman Scott left the state in 1854. Do y'all hear this? Centuries. For centuries, we've been here. Okay? The fuck are y'all talking about? The Indian is the Negro, period. The stories of non-reservation Virginia Indians, situated like the descendants of Lucy Pierman Scott, show the rickety underpinnings of the unrelenting fight that white Virginians waged for white supremacy. That fight exposed the incongruities and inconsistencies in white officials' legal definitions of race, but those definitions were not arbitrary or capricious. Through them, white people protected and reinforced the legacies of slavery and rationalized racial segregation and disenfranchisement. To that end, some white officials tried to deny the history and to minimize future possibilities of intermarriages that could blur the legal color drawn line around African Americans. That pressure fostered in group marriage and residence among Native Virginians asserting Indianness after the Civil War. Why did Lucy Pierman Scott and William Scott abandon Virginia in the 1850s when they were each around 50 years old? Did they consider themselves Indians and resent being assigned the status of did they consider themselves Indians and resent being assigned the status and legal disabilities of free people of color? Excuse me, y'all. Their surviving letters invoke race matters, but they are especially explicit in addressing two related and intertwined factors that probably became increasingly urgent as Virginia tightened legal restrictions on free people of color in the antebellum era. One was the family's goals for profitable work and economic opportunity. A second was Lucy and William's emphasis on schooling for their grandchildren. Constraining their opportunities for work and education were a range of legal restrictions aimed at all antebellum Virginia free non-whites. For example, laws required free people of color to register and obtain certificates attesting to their free status, and they were checked on their freedom to move out of their county of residence. To cite just one example of legal impediments to economic opportunity, the profession of river pilot was closed to free people of color. After 1831, the state made it illegal to hold public gatherings to educate African Americans. Such tightening legal pressures on free people of color caused some to leave the state, like Lucy Pierman Scott and William Scott, complicating the grim situation of free people of color who remained in antebellum Virginia, where Virginia's murky legal definitions of race. Some such definitions were couched in blood quantum, terms that seemed to call for precise classification of generations of ancestors who might be hard or impossible to trace. In practice, legal proceedings also could reflect assumptions that racialized identities clearly manifested themselves in bodily characteristics readily available to whites. Visual inspection. What did I say about their fucking enumerators? And I said that 1,000 times. However, physical appearance, like ancestry, was not a straightforward matter in a place like Virginia, where whites, blacks, and Indians had lived and loved together for generations. Local reputation and associations also influenced official legal ascription of racialized labels to Virginians in the antebellum era. The experiences of William Scott and Lucy Pyramid Scott's descendants reflect this instability in the concept of free persons of color in Virginia and shed light on how non-reservation Virginia Indians built communities and families that sustained their Indian identities. As noted, two of Lucy's daughters from her first marriage to Michael Pyramid stayed in New Kent County when William and Lucy and other relatives went to Canada in the 1850s. Anne Eliza Pyramid had married John Carman Wynn, and Susan Pyramid wedded John Howe. They both married a John. Pyramid, Wynn, and Howe are surnames that the anthropologist Helen Roundtree notes as New Kent French people. Instead of positing a simplistic in or out dividing line, she used French to describe the people with varying connections to core Powhatan Native American groups, Pamunkey and Chickahominy. You see this? Y'all hear this? Who might not always share the full range of the core cultural markers and might have less frequent or less intimate associations with individuals in the core. She acknowledged that these French people without reservations or tribal councils should not be considered anything other than Indian Virginians. In the case of Tidewater, Virginia Indians, though, the concept of a fringe and core, if read outside of Roundtree's sophisticated and realistic anthropological framework, could perpetuate stereotypes about who is a real Indian. The idea that one drop of African American blood makes someone black coexists in contrast with blood quantum notions about how much Indian blood makes a real Indian. Historically, Virginia whites have used both notions to deny the Indian identities of Native Virginians. Those two contrasting ideas about blood given centuries of race mixing made Virginia's non-reservation Indians vulnerable to those devoted to white supremacy. Today, the one drop idea that one black ancestor makes a person black, as well as the assumption that Indians must prove multiple Native ancestors, remain potent. In that context, calling non-reservation Indians a quote-unquote fringe could fuel the idea that their status as Indian is not as real as that of a core group. So to explore the identities of William Scott and Lucy Pyramid Scott, her children, grandchildren, and their extended families, let us attend not only to their ties or lack thereof to core Powhatan people, but also to their richness of interactions, close contacts over generations, marriages, and community building efforts among the New Kent County non-reservation Indian families, including some of Lucy's descendants. What kinds of cultural identities could an Indian family assert in the face of unofficial efforts to deny that they were any real indigenous Virginians? What kinds of cultural identities could an Indian family assert in the face of official efforts to deny that there were any real indigenous Virginians? How did they respond to the pressures from the larger society? What constrained their responses? The Pyramid Scott letters witnessed the harsh climate for free people of color in antebellum Virginia, as sectional tensions and Southern whites' fears of slave rebellion grew, especially after Gabriel's plan for insurrection in the 1800s and Nat Turner's uprising in 1831. By the middle of the 19th century, for people like the Pyramid Scott family, Virginia's legalized racial dichotomies could be crushing. This was true even though in face-to-face daily interactions, perhaps especially in rural counties, white neighbors and local officials sometimes recognized the Indian identities of families known to them over generations, giving the lie to the theoretical rigidity of racialized categories expressed in statewide laws, policies, and politics. Giving the lie to theoretical rigidity. Come on, y'all. Listen, let me take a little second, Mo. Because I'm gonna go ahead. Let me do this real quick. I'm so blessed, y'all. Because these motherfuckers is crazy. Crazy. Y'all, we the Indians, y'all. Period. Like, period. Period.
Hi, we're Visible, the wireless company that makes things.
God damn, that shit almost blew my eardrum out. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yep. Wild Indian, yeah.
Hey, V, line them up.
I'm a wild Indian, you know I go crazy. Ain't really Indian, that boy fugazi. I just keep it player, you never played me. You got an ass so fat, girl, let's make a baby. And another one. Then I'm back to the trap, I'm trying to double song. She a bad woke chick and I love her tongue. We some jurisdiction boys, we some one-on-ones. Look, don't compare me to no Martin dog, I'm like Michael Max. Die about our freedom, we'll leave a crack and stretch. Round of applause, boy, you know we clapping text. Chucky dog, child play, yeah, nigga, that's what's next. Open up the cans just like Arizona. Pull up masked up like we got the Rona. We set up jurisdictions when we buy the corner. How you claiming that's your hood and you not the owner? Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep an Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.
Like my niggas said, bitch, we the shit. I can't keep the peace. If it pop off, then I want a piece. I'm just on release. I'm in go mode, motherfucker thief. In these streets like EBT, when we at war, make peace with me. I don't give a damn, understand. Fuck who stole this land, white or black or tan. Understand, it's fuck who stole this land. Might have seen me get little buddy these hands. He wasn't no apple man. A lot of these dudes is Sambo man. They full of shit like my ammo can. What they call an N-word out the wrong mouth, that's an ambulance. Wild Indian, get it in advance, or you can post date it. Ask around, I'm the most hated. Straight sacred, they stole acreage. Yo, ape shit, show ain't shit. It won't be televised, I don't tape shit.
Be the B, I just pulled up in the need for speed. Free the land, tell the colonizers that they need to leave. Wild Indian up in my veins, you know how we bleed. You ain't gotta lie about who we is, dog, just keep it G. We at war, we can't keep the peace. Since we at war, gotta keep the peace. Whack a cone, then I meditate. Should I need to breathe? Keep an Olmec head when we slide, dog, cause we the shit.
Boost your
How in the fuck is you hustling with these grams, man? I know it's all cap. All on my face with the fake smile, yeah, you can't get no doubt. I got niggas that are shooters, all in your head like a nap. I'm on the scene with them 223s and edit bitch out. No games, man, yeah, I got no time for this shit. I be the one to blame, so please don't you make me click. Hit the block like a march, yeah, they like a parade. Drum sound and you ducking and hiding, nigga, better cover your face.
Hip hop used to be so hard. Now they dressing funny, driving fancy cars. Hoes used to be hoes, but now they stars. Man, I swear this shit done went way too far. Way too far, 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 way too far. Niggas still killing niggas. Pay your partner to hit ya. Hoes still fucking with niggas, never raising their children. Cluckers still paying deals, trying to catch them a feeling. I know a bunch of people who ain't never gonna have this. Pants way up their leg, crazy colors in their head, mumbling, rapping shit, make a nigga say what he said. I know you think I'm tripping, this boy going fed, but I'm just telling you some of the things bouncing in my head. Hip hop used to be so hard. Now they dressing funny, driving fancy cars. Hoes used to be hoes, but now they stars. Man, I swear this shit done went way too far. Way too far. Way too far. Way too far.
Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. Always keep it 1,000. Slow mo. Say I'm hustling and I'm grinding. I'm making moves with my money on my mind, and I can't fall short. Always keep it 1,000. Slow mo.
About Leave the World Behind is going to blow your mind. Did you know that the whole world has been hiding a big secret from Black Americans? This secret is the key to them actually getting tangible reparations. This secret is the key to them restoring a Black family household. This was also one of the big secrets of why they was able to have Black Wall Streets all throughout the United States back in the days. And the movie Leave the World Behind is exposing those big secrets. This movie is a wake-up call for Black Americans as it exposed the lies we've been taught through American history, as well as revealed the truth. Here's how the movie Leave the World Behind reveals the hidden truth about Black Americans. So first we're going to start off with Leave the World Behind and the meaning of Leave the World Behind. So in order for us to really understand and decode what's the meaning of Leave the World Behind, first we have to think about what was the term that the settlers called America upon them arriving here. They called it the New World. So when we talk about leaving the world behind, this is people who had a world which they deemed the old world. In Europe, they deemed that side of the planet the old world. They left the old world to seek out a new world, to seek out a better life.
So do y'all understand that? Y'all understand that breakdown of that? The old world being Europe, Asia, and Africa, and the new world being North America and South America. Okay. So the Americas is the new world. I'm sure we all know this already, though. We're smart individuals.
Right? So when we watch this movie, it's a similar type of thing going on. The main character, Amanda Sanford, she's tired of what's going on in her main world. So she sets out a trip to leave the world behind and embark on another journey, which they put in the movie as a vacation. As I break down and go further in my slides, everything about the new world and leaving the world behind is going to connect. So we're going to move on to the second slide. Boom. This is like one of the first scenes of the movie. And a lot of people didn't pay attention to this, but you're going to see what the further slides and go through the movie, you're going to see why that
Can't make it a full screen. The joint hating.
was one of the key indicators, coffee frame of the coffee that she made him. And as you can see to the left of him, well, it's actually to the right of him if you face in this way, but if you're watching it, it's to the left. You see the coffee mug right there. And the coffee mug has what on it? The 76ers. Why is that important? The 76 is important because the 76ers represent what? The 76ers represent the Declaration of Independence, right? And it's a reason why they're called the 76ers in Philadelphia, because a lot of major things in American history started in Philadelphia, right? The Declaration of Independence was signed in that area, right? By two prominent people in that area. See, the original Declaration of Independence was signed by two men. These two men are very important because they're going to shape and help start what we call today the United States of America. So by us understanding the Declaration of Independence, and it was in 1976, what's so important about that? The Declaration of Independence dictates something. It dictates that they were declaring their independence from something. So when you hear Declaration of Independence, that's them declaring their independence from something. What were they declaring their independence from? It was declaring their independence from the British, right? So I need y'all to pay attention to that. And then I'm about to show you how Black Americans was literally the reason they was able to expatriate and declare their independence from British. But they don't teach you this in school, and it's intentional that they don't teach you this in school, because by exposing this, it exposed a lot of other lies that coincide in history. We're going to go a little bit further on that, but just keep that in mind. Keep in mind, pay attention to 76 because it's shown throughout the movie. Pay attention to the Declaration of Independence. And remember, this is the new world. Keep that in mind. And we're about to move on to the next slide. So boom, the Declaration of Independence. Now, when we talk about the Declaration of Independence, right, what does it prove? The Declaration of Independence proved that there was white slavery. These British people came over here, right? The people that declared the Declaration of Independence, declared the independence of the British. They came over here as British subjects, right? British subjects, which we will call slave. They was in servitude. They was in a state of servitude, and they needed to.
So I hope y'all understand what he's saying when he's saying this. Okay, these motherfuckers were slaves. Always was.
Clear their independence away from something that had them in bondage. So keep that in mind because that's very important, right? So it proves white slavery. They don't teach you about white slavery in history at all. And there's reasons why they don't do that. But in this movie, they're basically exposing the lies. They're exposing the lies. So if you really pay attention to all of the signs in this movie, you will start to understand that, right? The first two signers of the Declaration of Independence was who? John Hancock and Charles Thompson. Why is this important? This is very important because every time we sign something, what do they say you need to sign? You need to
Your John Hancock, baby.
Sign your what? John Hancock, right? And Charles Thompson was actually the secretary of the Continental Congress. Now, what they don't teach you is that there were Black indigenous tribes that they had to join in order for them to expatriate from British.
And that's why I just got finished reading that article to y'all. I mean, we're going to keep reading that book, though. That's going to be a continuation. That's going to be a part 2, part 3, part 4. You know, we just going to keep continuing with that book because we really need to understand, like, how they did what they did and how they threw these classifications on our people, y'all. Especially my people in Virginia. Like, just completely eradicated us as Indians.
They literally had to.
OCO Bronze Flat Power God, share it to your channel for me, please.
join these all black indigenous tribes that were already here in America in order for them to free themselves and in order for them to declare their independence, right? And I'm about to show you how these tribes were actually black, right? So the tribe that, and you can look this up for yourself, John Hancock and Charles Thompson, they actually had to join the Delaware Indians. And by them joining the Delaware Indians, they was able to nationalize themselves as America. For yourself, John Hancock, British, they literally had to join these all black indigenous tribes that were already here in America in order for them to free themselves and in order for them to declare their independence, right? And I'm about to show you how these tribes were actually black, right? So the tribe that, and you can look this up for yourself, John Hancock and Charles Thompson, they actually had to join.
He served as secretary at the 1758 Treaty of Easton and wrote an inquiry into the causes of the alienation of the Delaware and Shawnese Indians from the British interests, which blamed the war on the proprietors. The Delaware Indians adopted him into their tribe, calling him the man who speaks the truth.
The Delaware Indians, and by them joining the Delaware Indians, they was able to nationalize themselves as Americans and declared themselves independent of British. Okay, so William Penn, I don't know if y'all familiar with William Penn, but William Penn is what Pennsylvania is named after. About 100 years or so, you know what I'm saying, probably about 50, 70 years prior to them actually doing the Declaration of Independence, William Penn actually made a treaty with the Delaware Indians, and y'all can look into this if y'all like. And when he made the treaty with the Delaware with the Delaware Indians, this is how he described the Delaware Indians. For their persons, they are generally tall, strength, well built, and of singular proportion. They tread strong and clever, and mostly walk with a lofty chin. Of complexion, black, but by design as the gypsies and English. They grease themselves with bear fat. They grease themselves with bear's fat clarified, and using no defense against the sun or weather, their skin must needs be swarthy.
So who they had to go into who they had to go and make go in there and be in the part of the tribe in order to get this shit signed and passed by our black people, so-called. Cut the fucking nonsense out, okay? This is our land. Y'all on our shit, and y'all need to never forget that. Don't ever fucking forget it. Y'all goofy.
And we know swarthy is black skin, but we don't need to even know that because he said of complexion.
And that's William Penn describing the Delaware Indians, right?
Black. So this needs to be understand. This was the Delaware Indians were a black tribe. Okay, so what is that telling you? Because they teach you in history that in this around this time, all black people was just slaves. This cannot be true. This cannot be true.
So yep. Come on now, Ja. Come on, Ja. That's why I can't wait to get them on the live stream one day, man. We're gonna really chop it up.
Because as I'm showing you right now, and you can look this up, Charles Thompson and John Hancock had to literally join these black Delaware tribes in order for them to expatriate from British, and that was the cause of the Declaration of Independence. Right? Now we about to move into the next slide, but just keep all this in mind because there's a lot of hidden gems in this entire movie that can actually be the key to black Americans' liberation if they understood the gems that was in this movie. And I don't see nobody else talking about it. But let's go to the next slide. Okay, boom. Now here's the life of Charles Thompson, right? Here's some primary sources so you can understand what was happening during this time, right? So if you read right here, what does it say? What does it say? The Indians came to the number of 300 representing 10 tribes and T.D. Shung, a chief of the Delawares, was appointed to speak for them in the conference. Okay? The chief T.D. Shung was appointed to speak for them in the conference. Keep that in mind because that's very important. The Friendly Association, organized by a number of prominent Quakers in 1756, now we got some dates on here, had a great influence upon the negotiation of this treaty, right? So they're negotiating and they're having a treaty amongst the settlers and this indigenous tribe, right? The purpose of this body are set forth by Galt in his History of the People called Quakers as follows. The Friendly Association was first prompted in 11 months of 1756 and continued through the 19th of the 4th month 1763, which was chiefly laid out and presents the Indians and delivered them at the public treaties either by the governor of the province, Morris Denny, on behalf of the subscribers, or by the permission, right, of or knowledge of that said governor, as well as to consolidate the minds of the Indians as to encourage them to seek out and release the captives remaining amongst them. So right now what they was doing was they was trying to negotiate with the Indians to relieve their captives, and what they're saying is 430 of the above sum was contributed by the people who entrusted it to the care of some association. So they was basically had to pay them because these Indians had some of their people as captives. This is what they're not teaching you, right? So they had to actually pay these Indians, right? And was also important to note is that the governor was compelled to accede to the demand on the threat of the Indian chief to retire from the conference, right? So look, listen, the Godly Association desired to send representatives to the conference at Easton, but the governor denied this request. Some of the leading members of the association then prompted T.D. Shung, which was the leader of the Delaware tribe, to demand a secretary of his own choosing to take the minutes of the treaty. The governor was compelled to accede to the demand on the threat of the Indian chief to retire from the conference. So T.D. Shung retired that governor, and then he said, you know what? Charles Thompson of the Philadelphia was once appointed the secretary, and he soon won the confidence of the Indians by his truthfulness and his efforts to secure justice for the various tribes. In the treaty of the preceding year, T.D. Shung delivered an eloquent, so boom. So basically what you're reading from right here, this is just proof that literally T.D. Shung appointed Charles Thompson. This is how he was the secretary of the Continental Congress.
Hold up, y'all. I'm about to redirect because I need to see what's going on in here real quick. Shout out to y'all. Though. I'm hanging tonight, though. I'm not quitting. Let's see. I know Smoke be hanging, and I know everybody in Smoke joint. Everybody watching, but ain't nobody chatting. So not that go. Anyway, let's keep rocking. Who cares?
The bottom line is,
all right, y'all, hang on. Let me do this. Yeah, it's y'all like that. But we're gonna go back to y'all in a minute, but hang on.
you got to be realistic about it because you ain't got no standing army. They got militias everywhere, and this is how they're doing it. They're using their militia, i.e., what these people was doing,
and they're doing it off of the Miranda Bay Road, right?
But the bottom line, though, Ross, they're not supposed to be doing it. It's against the law.
Well,
you can't do that in California. People think
California is independent, though, right?
Right. It's a
republic.
It's a slave state.
It's a republic, though. So on a republic, they can pretty much make up their own rules, like Texas did for us, the border. No matter what the federal government said, and you can come in and do whatever the fuck you want to do, we're gonna fight you back. Cause we have our National Guard is for our state. It ain't for the government. So we can have our National Guard fight down your army and thing. That was the whole.
Shout out to Straight Smoking them over there.
But
Yeah.
so California not part of the United States? But that's what I was about to say, Smoke, because that's not all the way. It's half true. It's not all the way true because if you got that red, white, and blue flag up there, you are dealing with international and national policy, and it's uniform. When you look at California's codes, it's identical to the federal codes.
True.
There's no separation with that. But what they're doing is they're operating rogue, right? And now all the other states are following California's lead because they have been the ones that's been doing it. You know that Hidalgo treaty ain't worth shit. You know the Constitution has been already repealed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean they're operating lawless. If you ain't got a treaty, your courts are no good, your Constitution is no good, and your policies and procedures are no good. But the bottom line is that when you get down to it, this is what I'm saying. You know, people. I'm just trying to say. I lived here my whole life. I see how they get down.
Look up the city of the Rough and Ragged in California. I think they established in 1856, something like that.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, they're the only city that's separate from the state, from the government. Period, from everything. They their own entity.
All right, y'all. I'm out.
Yeah. So